are here. We here, people. And how are y'all doing tonight? Oh, tonight, Resident Game Zero is going in on y'all. I mean, article after article, research after research, information after information. This guy's been on fire behind the scenes all week long. And listen, y'all, to be fair, it's me who's been pushing the envelope to wait. Let's go in after the partnership show. Let's gather up all the sticks, get them ready to throw in the fire, man. Because there's things that are going on right now, people, that, as you can tell, it's getting real quiet out here now in these game streets. Because now the veil is open. It's wide open for everybody to see. You don't have to play it off anymore. You don't have to sit around and wonder anymore. It's right there in plain sight. The objective of Xbox has arrived. It's not arriving. It has arrived. And before we really get to cooking tonight, Raz, before I let you go, because you got that one huge big mic in your hand, I just want to tell everybody thanks for the support of my brothers out here, to all my brothers out here, and to the mighty chat pad out here. Thank y'all for caring. Thank y'all for the kind words. Thank y'all for the support. Thanks to the new followers. Thanks to our members. And thank you, extra thank you to everybody who is international, who stops by on our channel and make us international. We really get a kick out of that. We really enjoy when we see other flags. We really get a kick out of that. We think that's one of the most beautiful things in gaming is to meet somebody else from the other side of the world. And we're all in agreement when it comes to this beautiful thing called Xbox. The Xbox community, to me, is top notch. It's the best out there. And on Di-RRec Gaming, we pay homage to it. With that, I want to say, if you like what we're about and what we represent, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell. Never miss a 1 and 2s on the beats as we get up on stage and perform, because we have a whole line of mics and we want everybody up on stage with us and perform with us. Double shout outs to the mighty chat pack community, always in here backing us up. We love to see what they have to say. We love to see what they got going on. We love everything about this whole situation that is going on now more than ever. And we try to tell everybody. We try to tell everybody. And I know people are tired of hearing that. But guess what? I'm not tired of hearing about Good Box and Snooki. I'm not tired of saying big bank takes little bank. I'm not tired of saying truth over feeling. Because it's here. There's nothing to hide. We all knew that Microsoft, once they acquired ABK, the crumblings, the perception, the mishaps, the smoke and mirrors of PlayStation will begin to slowly deteriorate. And there'll come a day, like I said, no matter where you look, no matter where you see, when they talk about gaming, they're going to have to mention Xbox. And while Xbox is like this big caterpillar eating away, just eating, getting all fat, Project Helix is going to be the butterfly version of Xbox. See, we just pillar version of Xbox. See, Xbox is just a caterpillar as long as it was a console. But we all really know what a real Xbox is. See, a real Xbox is a PC disguised as a console. That's what a real Xbox is, ladies and gentlemen. And for Microsoft to go back to its roots, for it to really go back to its roots and deliver a premium experience to its core base, I think that's one of the best moves ever in these Xbox. Because let's keep it for real. As Xbox fans, we've seen it over and over again. Leaders come, leaders go. The messaging is horrible for Xbox. Xbox just can't never seem to get anything right, no matter what it does. I've always said this, my opinion was they just never was able to find an Xbox person. You know, somebody that just understood Xbox. Xbox was looking old. There was no youth around it. You know, it was easy to criticize, and the haters would come through with the dead messages. Y'all remember, it wasn't that long ago. It was just a week ago, right? The doom and gloom. You know, you gotta love all of this stuff. And through it all, the mighty narratives, diffs, the mighty narratives and theories and myths, right? All flunked. And now here we are today. Took a while. And I told you it was going to take a while because, man, are they stubborn as hell. But like I said, they are going to literally let us see this whole thing sink. And I told y'all, I never said, don't buy a PlayStation, don't buy an Xbox, or don't buy Nintendo. We don't say plastic box over here. We don't use that type of language. We don't use all that silly stuff, goofy, corny language over here because we respect the integrity of the culture of gaming. We protect the ingenuity and the geniuses that comes in my people's minds to create these great systems, these great ideas on how to build video games and consoles. I find it to be very interesting, so I would never disrespect the art. You would never hear me disrespect the art like that. But I'm not going to break tradition. Word on the streets is Xbox. And it's been this way for many, many years. You know what pays the bills out here. From the gaming media standpoint to what gets your likes on social media standpoint. There's one name that won't fail you. As long as you act like it's the most horrible thing in the world, you will become popular if you just talk about Xbox in a negative way. There's your key to being popular on social media in the gaming streets. Just talk about Xbox in a negative way and watch how many followers you acquire. It's like work out here, people. But when I look at now, Reds. When I look at what's going now, Realist. When I look at what's going now, Spartan, and I look at everything that we said, not only do I double salute you guys, but I'm glad I never faltered. I'm glad I 10 toes down on this because nobody can say now that PlayStation isn't failing some kind of way. The evidence is too strong. There's nothing that PlayStation is doing that's succeeding right now. Absolutely nothing. And look, to make matters worse, before I let these guys cook on y'all tonight, because I'm giving my mic up, it's gonna cook y'all tonight. Don't worry. No two gonna come off the top. With no mercy. But Wolverine, sadly enough, is not even going to save PlayStation this year. Then what do you have after Wolverine? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. 3 games flopped, and it's just 3 months in. 3 studios shut down, which is 3 months in. The price of PlayStation is about to go up an extra $100. when these goofies out here were talking about $30, talking about $10 raise on Game Pass, which made it $30. And nobody. The only problem with Game Pass, it's not that it's not growing, it's not growing fast enough. But if Asha gets this deal going with Netflix, and you let that damn price come back down, I mean, you let this thing be something astronomical. This 100 million isn't going to be hard to do because Microsoft is understanding what their truest, darkest competitor is. It's time. If they can meet people where they spend 2 to 4 hours at watching a movie, and they may want to take a break and play a video game, and the Xbox app is right there for them, on it right off of Netflix, it's going to be incredible. Can you imagine the marketing when Gears of War animated series gets out, and you're able to jump off of that and start playing some Gears of War E-Day? You watching the movies sequence series. You get the movie version, you jump off of that, you playing Gears of War E-Day. They throw a bundle in with the Halo. You get the new Halo campaign in there. If Microsoft understands their audience is starving to feel special again. The Xbox community is starving to feel special again. Not only is the Xbox community spending more money and playing more games, so that's not a secret. Our community never fades. It gets bigger. That's a fact. All Microsoft has to do, focus on the core. You get the core to look special, and the expansion of Xbox is going to be easy. You won't have to fight it because the independent gamer always goes where the FOMO is at. And right now, gamers do not want to feel left behind when that Project Helix hits. No real gamer is not going to want that. Not one real gamer. Y'all understand that Project Helix, by default, is going to have exclusive games from Steam. Can you imagine the new PC game come out and you'll be able to play it on your Xbox? Because let's be frank and clear here. All PC games don't go to consoles. So imagine playing G4, CB, CBH 4 God. Imagine. To the stealth watchers, imagine. Imagine, people. Because this thing is right around the corner now. I told everybody, big bank takes little bank. What was I preaching 3 years ago? Spartan remembers. I started the "they shall not pass" movement, meaning you're going to come to the crossroads, right? Right, realists? I told them this 3 years ago, that Sony will have to come to the crossroads one day. And they're going to have to face the 300 million to 350 to $500 million paycheck. Jay goes my witness. He remembers. He's been on my show rocking with me for many years. He knows I'm not lying. And what did I say, Jay Go? I said, I see a big, big problem with PlayStation on the horizon. And it's called when these games start costing too much to make. Where is PlayStation going to get its money to fund these big title games? Where they're going to get them at? Nobody can tell me. Because right now, 150, 200, okay. But soon, big tech's going to come. Everybody knows when big tech comes, prices go up, things get expensive, developers got to get paid. And now, a AAA game can cost anywhere from 300 million to 350 million. So what do you think is going to happen in the near future? When video games cost, at least they max out around 5 billion. 500 billion. 500 million, I'm sorry. When they max out to 500 million, who you think is going to be prepared for that? Microsoft. They got their cloud ready. They don't have to have hardware. They the ghost in the shell. Xbox can go wherever a screen's at. It can go, it can flourish with no issue because it has a major operating system, unlike PlayStation. Everybody wants to talk about PlayStation getting a storefront. That's backwards. They already have PlayStation Network. I told y'all this. Now look what's happening to it. They got to rename it. You want to know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because I told y'all years ago the problem with PlayStation Network. I told you that it's hit 47 million multiple times within its, 15-year span? Going on 16 years? PlayStation Network, PlayStation Plus? It's going on 16 years. And they still at 47 million. You don't think Sony sees Game Pass creeping up on it? Xbox knew better. They saw the massacre in their name. So you want to know what they did? They said, if we keep calling it Xbox Live, it's going to leave a sour taste in people's mouth. So we need to change the name. We need to do a massive marketing makeover and call it Game Pass. Still Xbox Live. They did a massive makeover with Xbox Arcade because, see, it's the word Xbox. Now it's ID at Xbox. Independent games on Xbox. They don't like to hear the word Xbox. That's why Game Pass does so beautiful out here in the world. And now look at it. 40 plus million. It's not that far behind, right? It's not bad for 8 years, huh? It's not bad for 8 years. And like Realist said, legal, I bet my bottom last penny that if Game Pass hit 50 million, you could take that. And I think he's right. I think it's going to happen before 50 million. Because y'all thought that Xbox and y'all kept this Xbox dead thing and y'all made that y'all's anthem that was going to hurt Xbox. When I told you that y'all's hatred feeds that monster, there's barely anybody that can mess with the geniuses within Microsoft's organization. They literally have geniuses. And no, they don't just get them out of America. They get these all across the world. Before I hand these mics out, salute to Asha for listening, for seeing, for knowing, for being humble. Because we want Xbox to fight Dolan Knight.
Dolan Knight in the building.
We're a great community. We don't argue the fact that, hey, if a game's gotta go, it's gotta go, Kevin Coates. But the Xbox fans are saying, in return, what do we get out of it? It can't be one-sided. And now, Marathon has come. You see the little silly ass gaming media trying to make it seem like this 1.5 million is something across all boards. That's dog shit trash. And then on the fact that PlayStation fans only paid 217,000 copies for the game. That's y'all's game. Just like I said, Marathon succeeding is not an Xbox problem. It's not a Steam problem. It's not a Nintendo problem. It's a PlayStation problem. And the biggest PlayStation problem on God's green earth is PlayStation fans. Because you know why? They are the biggest liars and frauds and pretenders out here. And now, everybody sees you just the way you are. Fraudulent. As an entire fraudulent household committee, worldwide, y'all can't get y'all's damn games in the top. You're in the top, you're in the 20s. You're not even thought of. PlayStation ain't even thought of in the world. Did I not say the world don't play these PlayStation games? Did I not say that?
The excitement's gone.
It's gone. The curtain is torn. You, PlayStation fan, you're the problem. You're his disease because you know why? You stay on social media all day with Xbox in your mouth. Guess what? You market Xbox for free. Xbox gets all its marketing from your hatred. And while you hating on Xbox, guess what you're doing behind the scenes? You're buying Forza. You're buying Call of Duty. You're buying Minecraft. But you get on social media and you'll say, death to Xbox. So while we continue to laugh at you, right? Because I told y'all, I don't care if they look at me as a bad guy. I ain't never been no suck out here in these gaming streets. I don't never do this little silly, dumb, melodical, brainwashing, turbulent activity out here. I'm only guilty of one thing, and that's liking Xbox. That's what I'm guilty of. I'm guilty of telling the truth. They hate me for that, Kevin Coates, because I tell the truth. They hate me because everything that they ever try to do is minuscule to me. I already know why they're doing it. It's a fear tactic. It's a weakness. That's why they hate Xbox so bad. And now Xbox is about to be this thing that they can't destroy. While they got to sit here and figure out how they're going to keep these holes from making the water go in this ship that's already about underwater. Studio after studio after studio is closing. Rez, I'm about to kick this show up, man. I know it was a long introduction. You're welcome. You're all welcome.
The following is intended only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
We back.
I think Legal's got some sort of audio issue going on, but we could kind of pick up where he left off. So
Every week with this cat, man. Everything worked just fine while he was talking.
Oh, you didn't hand off the mic properly. That's all right.
Yeah, man. You got to pass the baton.
So bouncing off of what he said, yeah, I mean, like we always talk about this. I know I feel like a lot of times we repeat ourselves. We don't come from a place of hatred. I mean, I personally, as you guys know, I don't like the brand PlayStation. I don't like, the way the company treats their customers. I don't like the type of the games that they come out with, but I don't want to see, them die, right? Like competition is good for everybody, right? It brings out the best in some companies, right? And we're kind of seeing that start to make fruition now for Microsoft. And with Sony, they had their high moments. They had their highest roller coaster peak, right, with the PS4 generation. And we saw, they were the first to really hit those high notes with the blockbuster cinematic games, right? And they really capitalized on that. And they brought in, to showcase their hardware and showcase how it had 1080p versus, the Xbox One, which only had, 900p. So they really kind of marketed as that, as, and they showed that they were the most powerful machine, right? And they had the most to offer with their service. And they kind of, try to pull people away, try to gain the mind share, right? They had everything going for him. And then it seems to me like they started to invest too much into the same type of games. They're spending a lot of money on these games, and when they're investing so much money into these games, they're obviously expecting a high ROI, a return on investment for investing such a high amount of money, right? And some games were getting profitable, right? They were getting ROI on some of their games, but not everything, right? And those little bit of differences, those adjustable debts that they were not breaking even or getting profit on, that starts to slowly tick up. That slowly add up, right? And they kind of saw that going into the PS5 generation, they needed to do something differently because the strategy was no longer working. They were starting to see a decline in the interest, or at least in people buying those same games, right? So they started to look at the trends, right? Look and see, where the industry was going, like, the rise of the live service games. They saw the explosion of Fortnite. They wanted to replicate that. That's why they brought Jim Ryan in the role. They wanted to try to get their studios to turn games into monetization making machines like Call of Duty, but failed to realize that that's not as easily achievable as they thought, because these type of games are a one in a lifetime type of game in my eyes. So like Call of Duty, Minecraft, Fortnite, they're like the diamonds in the rough, right? They're like those very special games that have that hook, right? That have that appeal, that have the community, the people behind it playing it all the time. And they just have a kind of special value to them that not every game has. And Sony forgot, or maybe they just did not actually look at the whole logistics of everything, the big picture of how their studios make their games, that their studios, they had so focused on making these single player cinematic games that they couldn't have possibly have not understood that these studios, for making these type of games for so many years, and then turn them around and expect them to make a completely different type of game that they've never made before and expect that to work, is just still, till this day, is mind-boggling, right? And we see between the lines, right? Like us first and foremost, we're gamers, right? Like we care about video games across the whole spectrum of gaming. We don't just care about Xbox. We are Xbox first, but we're gamers. We're Xbox gamers as a preference, but video gamers as a whole, that's the number one for us, right? So we care about gaming. And we could see between the lines, right? We see these little breadcrumbs, right? These little news articles that come out year after year about, the decisions they're making with the live service turn, with the studio's responses in these articles about how, they're not equipped to make these games, how there was turmoil with some of the studios in Sony leadership about making these type of games. And, you know, we would see like very, very little information. We would be very quiet on the front of like Last of Us factions, right? We were expected to see more of that, hear more of that, right? And they just kept keeping it quiet, keeping it quiet. They would say it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. And they brought in other outside talent, which whoever decided to go with Bungie was not reading the tea leaves and not see that, like, from the inception of Destiny, like Bungie fumbled the ball quite a bit. I mean, throughout the history of the game, since the beginning to the end, it started off with a lot of problems when it first came out. People were not happy with the end game. Like the looting system was crap. They had to make a lot of fixes, a lot of changes to Destiny to get it to where it finally was good, and people just were, I guess, holding on to that old Bungie of Halo days where they thought that those same talented people were still there, so they're still making these type of games. So they really harped and hearkened on that to think that Destiny was going to be that studio for them that could really steer PlayStation Studios and really find them that hit that they wanted, right? Because Call of Duty was such a piggy bank, like basically a safety deposit box for them, because they could always rely on it as a consistent revenue stream, you know, when they got basically the marketing rights and everything back to the franchise, and they grew a stronger relationship with Activision Blizzard. But once Microsoft made that big power move, right, as Legal says, the big bank takes little bank, we saw that that put the fear in their eyes, because they knew that they were no longer going to be able to rely on Call of Duty, which is what was helping sustain their business, and also generate revenue so they could create more of their first party and other like smaller indie games. So they had to have that live service title, right? And they spent so much time on this that they've lost their focus, that they kind of ran out of really ways to come up with a different way to be successful, right? Like they kind of like had tunnel vision, right, for the longest time. And because of this, now we're seeing that little by little, you know, like the studios are not making the games they want, right? Studios are closing. They're having to cancel games. They're having to restructure their business. I think this is the second time they've had to reorganize their business. They've laid off thousands of people. They've closed multiple studios. They've canceled almost all the live service games since when Jim Ryan was in position. They're trying to go back to I don't know what, because they know they can't go back to the previous generations, because that wasn't working. They can't go to live service. That's not working. Now we've got the lawsuits, right? Now they're wanting to monetize their gamers more, right? And on top of this, the game that they just have been building upon, marketing, they just, according to reports, they had spent at least 100 million, if not upwards of 150 to 200 million on Marathon, on the development of Marathon. They invested in Bungie, even though there was other alternatives out there that could have probably done much better at making them a successful live service game. They choose Bungie, of all people, the people who really fumbled the ball with Destiny, right? Like the people that, like when we saw that, you know, hold on, when Marathon first came out, the reception was really bad, right? Like, you know, like this is the game that they've been building upon since Destiny, right? This is supposed to be the big hit that Sony wants, right? Like Sony's bet. This is just my theory, but based on what I've read and what I've seen of the last few years, it seems like they were really banking on this to be successful, right? And selling 1.2 million copies across all the platforms is not good, because if you think about it, like if you do 1.2 by 40, you do the math, that's only like around 40 million, right? Maybe a little bit more. So, I mean, that's not even half of what it costs them to market and develop games. So they're not even going to, most likely, they're not even going to break even. which is what me and legal kind of harked back to. Not that this would have helped, but maybe it would have a little bit. And that's not charging $40 for it. That's charging, that's making the game free, right? Like doing the monetizing other ways, right? And the fact that it only sold 1 million copies across all platforms is not, and we know based on recent anecdotal evidence, right, with High Guard and other multiplayer games, like this is not a good sign or a good start. And we also got news that apparently Honda, who actually had deals with Sony to create an electric vehicle, they had 2 different models coming out that was going to have a PlayStation built into it. They've decided to pull the plug. They've decided to end the project negotiations with PlayStation. And there's a report now that PlayStation 5 is going to get increased by $100 in Europe. This is more of what we were talking about them monetizing their players more. Like Lin Tao even said it herself, right? Like, and meanwhile, all this is going on, right? And you've got people on social media who are still defending this company, despite everything that they should know, right? Or even if they don't know, like if they actually just went online and did the research, I can't see how you could stand behind this company, right? Because if the console price is going to go up, you know what that means, right? Everything else is going to go up again. The PSN price, the accessories, the games. You remember, as I was telling Legal this, Sony kind of started all this price increase crap. They really did. And, Microsoft and Nintendo just kind of followed suit. But that's what they've always been about. They've always been about, like, how can we take advantage of our consumers, give them less, charge them more. And you know why, though? Because of these fanboys, right? They see the perception online. They see that everybody treats them like a king, right? Everybody gives them a pass, right? Because they know that they have some sort of edge over or trump card over them, where they could pull the media coverage, or they could not give them free games, like free review codes, right? They have that kind of power over the media, so they kind of control the media to always stare them in a positive light, and Microsoft in a negative light. I mean, we see it all the time, every month, every year, for the past generation or two. It's always been like that, right? And the facade is starting to fade, right? The illusion is starting to dissipate, right? Because people are starting to understand that this company is not about the gamer, right? And I'm not saying that Microsoft is perfect. None of them are, right? Like they all, in some ways or another, raise their prices. The difference is, at least with Microsoft and Xbox, they give you multiple ways to play, right? They give you multiple tiers to buy your games for, either on Game Pass or through discounts. Because they constantly do sales on their stores, right? They give you the lowest price points to get into gaming, right? They, their consoles, like, outside of Nintendo, is a pretty easy price point. If you got the Series S, right, you could get it secondhand. You wouldn't even have to buy it from Microsoft. You can get it secondhand from somebody for relatively cheap. And we also got some news about that, by the way. This is something I was talking about with Legal off the phone before we got on the show. But one of the things that I was telling him is, I think Microsoft should consider either adding more tiers or doing lower price tiers, because this would make them more competitive, right? This would give them more of incentive to get people onto their platform, because that's all they need to do is just get them interested in joining. Like, give them the option, give them those budget options, because people right now are being very frugal with their money, very conscientious. They're not spending like they used to, and especially not in video games. So you really need to be that Amazon, I don't want to say Amazon, but maybe that Walmart of gaming, where you're giving good value, but also at an affordable price, right? And so there's apparently been some reporting I got this article from Windows Central right now. I was looking it up. Microsoft's new CEO, Asha Sharma, is considering making Game Pass cheaper after last year's price hike. Lower priced tiers could be on the way. And this is exactly what I was just talking about, is the fact that is their power punch, right? That is their uppercut, right? Is Game Pass, right? So I think, and I said this before, like last year when this news hit that they were raising the price on Ultimate and the other tiers, that it was a bad decision, that like Game Pass was their strength. It was like their strong point. So for them to raise the price, it kind of took the wind out of their sails. So this is a great move. This is just more proof to me, and I've talked about this too in other shows about they made the right choice in picking Asha, because she's actually not only listening to feedback and seeing the perception online and what people are saying and the hardcore gamer fans, she's also getting strong opinions and professional advice from the other Xbox leaders, from what she sees through the data, right? Like through their reports and stuff they see through the business. Like what worked, what didn't work, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, and she's trying to basically turn their weaknesses into strengths, and their strengths into basically Goliath, to where it's kind of everything that they're doing is going to be better or improved than what they did before, right? And Helix is a great way to really jumpstart the next generation too. So like Game Pass is the first thing you want to start, right? Keep on with that continuous content, right? They've got 44 games in development. If they have that many games coming down the pipe, that they're not gonna their tank is not gonna go empty, right? They're not gonna run out of ammo. They're gonna have that constant, consistent first party release year after year. They just need to really focus and try to make it on a schedule to where the games are consistent within a 1 to 2 month period, 3 months at the most. I don't think one of the problems they've had is they stretch out their games too much, where people are waiting too long for their next big game. There's like, for example, like their really first big hit game, like I don't count Kiln, because Kiln is more of like a AA smaller type like side project game. But Forza is their big game, and they're making us wait 4 or 5 months for Forza. That's a big gap. Like that's one thing that they can improve upon, like outside of Game Pass, is the consistent release schedule, right? I know that's hard with development, right? When you're developing games, you can't time it necessarily. It's really upon when they're done cooking, right? When they're ready to release the game. You can't really stick a date on that. You can't. It's just, that's not how game development works, right? But this PlayStation news, it just seems like the tower is crumbling, right? We're seeing all this crazy news. We just got the information that Dark Outlaw Games was closed. It was by the developer who actually was a lead on the Call of Duty's Zombies mode. He decided to start his own studio. It was working good according to him. The game was coming along well, but I just don't think Sony doesn't want to take any risk right now. They don't have a lot of like money to just keep investing in projects and not have a guarantee or some sort of assurance that they're going to get their money back or be profitable, right? Because they're losing a lot of money right now. If you see their reports, yes, they're making money, but they're spending more than they're making, right? And you can't be sustainable that way. Sean Layden, even though I don't agree with everything he says, he does know the business side of things, and he knows that what they're doing is just not going to work forever. So this news about Bungie only selling 1 million copies, I'm sure, is not not pleased to them. I'm sure that it's not something that they were hoping for. I'm sure they're really upset about it, to be honest with you, because I have a feeling that they were counting on it to be successful. Because you see it right in their showcases. You know, the last 3 showcases, we're getting like 1 or 2 first-party announcements, and sometimes it's games that they already knew about or that were already announced. Right? You could see that they're counting on their player base to try to invest more into their remasters and remakes, right? Because those are the games that cost them the least amount of money to develop and re-release, as opposed to a brand new game. So, and their gamers are not buying those games, and I'm sure it makes them a little sour that they're spending a lot of money on Xbox games, especially. You know, that had, I mean, yeah, of course they make a 30% margin off him, but 30 does not equal 70, right? And Microsoft just became one of the biggest publishers in the world, right? Which if we quote Jim Ryan, he said that their business would not recover if Microsoft acquired ABK. And Microsoft's just starting, right? Like, I feel like it's like they're like the butterfly. They were in the 3 stages, you know, where they were the bug, and now they're like in cocoon mode. And with Helix and with Asha at the helm, I feel like this could be like their butterfly moment where they truly take off and evolve and become a great gaming business. They were. I'm not saying they weren't, but I'm saying like the true potential is finally there, and they've been building their technologies and infrastructure for a special device like this, and they could become the greatest or one of the greatest entertainment devices for video games anyway. They could become, I don't want to say the Netflix of gaming, because we say it all the time and it's kind of cheesy, but you know what I mean, to where, you know, like it's really appealing to play on the platform, right? Because you get so many benefits. There's not a lot of downsides. I just think Microsoft needs to capitalize on their strengths and improve their weaknesses. And PlayStation's like a hurt dog right now. Like, they've got nothing's going right for them. You know, they're running in circles looking for an answer, basically, because, you know, we saw like they started a partnership with Crunchyroll, right? Like an anime platform. You could see they're trying every different type of business venture they can to try to get some more consistent revenue streams coming in to help their business, right? They closed their TV, or they're downsizing their TV business for the first time ever. You know, they're restructuring a lot of things. Like, it just screams to me like they're bleeding a lot of money. But this is the best time for Xbox to take the helm and really be the market leader that they should be, because they are the leading platform in technologies, and Helix is going to have a lot of proprietary cool stuff in it. It's going to have the most powerful hardware ever built. They just need to deliver on the games and bring good value and pricing with their Game Pass. I honestly think with their Helix, they should have multiple SKUs, not just the Microsoft SKUs, but OEM SKUs. Give people as many options as possible at many price points as possible, because then you could say, well, the competition's not doing that. Look at all the different ways I can get into the Xbox ecosystem. That's my take on it. I mean, you got guys out here, and this is what's weird about the PlayStation, right? I don't know if you saw this, Legal, but there was an article from looks like it was from Tuesday, about a guy who basically committed a homicide on this man, and he went back to his house to steal his PlayStation. So what does that tell you? He's a PlayStation fan, right? What is it with the PlayStation fans, man? Why are they such weirdos, right? You know, you got that. I was talking to Legal about that other report. I don't know if you remember this, but the actress who voiced Mary Jane in the first Spider-Man game actually had a side business or a side venture, and somehow one of the PlayStation fans got a hold of her phone number for her business and actually called and left, I don't know if it was several voicemails, but left at least one voicemail that definitely was beyond the pale, and she actually called it out on her Instagram about it. Like only the PlayStation fanboys can take things to such levels, right? And that's the kind of stuff that's allowed Sony to get into this position that they're in, is because they never criticized them. They never asked them to do better. They were always okay with whatever they did. They, at least on social media, from what I've seen, like they always act like they can do no wrong and that they're the king of the crop, and that they don't have any weaknesses, when in reality that's not the case. And they didn't help the brand. They haven't helped the brand in a long time, and they're not supporting the brand really. They're just talking the big game like they are supporting the brand, but they're not. And we see it, right? We see it in the numbers. I mean, that marathon number should tell you everything you need to know. There's just no interest there for that game. And these publishers, they need to do what, I think it was, I hate to quote him again, but someone, I don't know if it was Sean Layden, but another executive said that they need to stop focusing so much on these live service multiplayer and bigger style games, and they need to go back to, kind of the old school retro area of gaming, where there was more smaller AA games and indie games. But the problem with that too is, and I know this side of it, is that if you focus on those games, where's the players, right? Like players aren't even interested in those games. So like what road does the industry take, right? It's a very turbulent time. And even the guy who ran what was it Dark Outlaw Games, he even said here, and I quote, "I can reassure you, and it's been reassured to me, it's just times change, focus changes, but the project we were doing and what we were doing, fans would have been very excited." So times change. That's the key word that I wanted to focus on there. The industry is definitely completely different than it used to be. The mind share is just all over the place, right? Because video games are having to compete now with all these different social media platforms and other ways of entertaining people. So it's harder to get people into video games, or at least long enough for them to even care about all these new games that come out every month and every year. It's very saturated, right? It's like what wasn't that the downfall of Atari, right? Is there was too many games, too much to play. But it doesn't show a sign of confidence for me. If you've got Sony downsizing their TV business, if you've got companies pulling out of deals with them, if you've got lawsuits against them, if you've got their big games not drawing any attention or not selling to what you would expect them to sell, if you got news, if you got game reports coming out from NPD and Matt Piscatella showing the same 5 to 10 games still being in the top 10 charts, and you're not seeing a lot of new or different games in those lists. It's the same games that have been there since 2014, right? That doesn't really boast confidence for where the industry is headed, and gaming's just kind of becoming more for the hardcore, right? Like there's the casual players, yes, but really, from what the industry analysts have said, it's really the hardcore gamers that are carrying the business right now, because we're the ones that are buying all the different games that are coming out consistently and actually investing the most money into the platforms. So when we go, like, I just think gaming's gonna really change to what we have known it since the beginning, where it's becoming like like a CD player where you have like one or two CDs and you stick the CD in and you play the one CD and then you're done and then you go do something else. Like gaming's not going to explode is what I'm trying to say. It's just going to keep, for me, in my opinion, I think it's just going to keep shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. And so for a lot of these companies, they don't have the sort of money Microsoft does, right? They don't have the ways to reach players and reach audiences to make revenue in different ways that they don't have the infrastructure for, right? So these other companies are really going to struggle. And we also saw from Nintendo too, even recently, there was a report that they're actually lowering production on the Switch 2. Even Nintendo's shine is starting to fade. Just the appeal of gaming is not of the 80s and 90s and 2000s, you know, where more kids didn't have access to these type of, you know, powerful computers in their phones where they can pretty much do almost everything on, and it takes most of their mind share away, where they're not really getting into video games or getting into gaming like we did, because that was one of our only forms of entertainment. Well, they have so many options now for entertainment that really gaming is just not that big one that it used to be. And so in my opinion, PlayStation is not in a good position right now, not in a good place. Bungie was the marathon news is definitely not what they were hoping for, and I'm sure they're probably in panic mode right now, because what do they do next? Realists, I mean, you see this news. I mean, if you're a company and you only sell 1 million copies across all gaming platforms, and it's supposed to be your next big game, and you're only seeing like 20 to 30,000 players playing it, when you've seen other big games like Baldur's Gate 3, for example, almost reach like 500,000, you know, people playing it. I mean, does that seem like that would spark confidence to you? Like, wouldn't that kind of put you in a place where you would question, you know, is this game going to actually do it for us?
Well, for me, I mean, I look at Destiny. You know, Destiny started off with huge player numbers, and now it hovers between like 30 and 60,000. Look, it's all about what Sony needs from Marathon. We know Sony needs a big hit. I've been on Twitter for about, I say this week, right? You know, I'm always on Twitter when the bad news comes. All right, no shame. But Sony needs a hit. You know, uh, that's not bad. That's what I was asking you, but you said you basically told me to shut my ass up and let you cook. So I said, "All right, man, dang." But I'm not as hard on Destiny as you are, because you know, because in the beginning you brought up, you know, how they struggled.
You
I
do
mean, a lot of that
remember
was,
it had a lot of problems at the start.
but a lot of that was Activision. See, Activision had a machine, and you know, Bungie is a problem child. It's like they never understand their assignment. They never understand how to do what they're told. You know, Activision wanted an annual type of game to kind of accompany what's the name of that game? Call of Duty. Bungie had other ideas. So ultimately got to the point where Activision said, you know, just go. And then Sony, in act of desperation, bought them up. But we don't know what Sony expects. I know what I expected, and this is pretty much what I expected. So for Sony, I think they got to keep trying to make it happen somehow, because that's the only thing they got that's actually a service. Because to me, I don't consider Helldivers 2 a service game. Like it's a game that has like DLC and stuff, but when it comes to Marathon, it's supposed to be a live service game where they're completing microtransactions and making more money, so that maybe they can bring their fans more to one tentpole title a year. You know what I mean? But what do? They gotta support. It's the only thing they got right now. Helldivers, and then we already know that what are they? Arrowhead. Arrowhead's not gonna make a 3. right? I don't know what the contract is betwixt the two of them, but we know that Arrowhead's next game is going to be multiplat day one. That's the real problem for Sony. They are running out of ways to create perception for their platform because that's what they've been doing for all these years. The perception has been that I guess since around the PS4 era, right? That PlayStation has games and Xbox has no games. But ever since their inception, they've been latching themselves onto some third party game to make themselves look like they have more than what they do. And now they can't even get a game of any notoriety as an exclusive, no marketing deals. It's like a lot of these companies don't even want marketing deals. You know what I mean? They don't want to tie themselves up to any of what I think the last one they had that was big was a quest on Hogwarts Legacy. But they gotta make this happen. They gotta push it. They gotta try to extract as much as they can out of it. That this game is worth $3.7 billion for them, because they bought a dying game in Destiny, and I believe that they should have rerouted or reallocated the resources that they put into Marathon and put those into Destiny, because it doesn't matter how long a game is. How old is Fortnite? You know, if you keep coming up with ways to make the game fresh and entertain the people that you have hooked, then you have something. Because Fortnite has been the same game. They just, they'll give you Snoop Dogg 1 month and Nicki Minaj another month and Cardi B another month, maybe Beyonce next. You know what I mean? But what is Marathon gonna do? Because they created a game where it's kind of like when Call of Duty brings Beavis and Butthead and stuff in there. It doesn't really fit, even though it's got like a different art style. You can't. I mean, cartoons and stuff don't really fit. So where are the microtransactions? What aesthetics do you really want to change in those characters? I don't know if you play Marathon, and Marathon is not a bad game. It's just that there are. It's PlayStation being late again. That's PlayStation's problem when it
They're
comes
late to the party. Yep.
to these live service games. You know, what was that one that lasted a week and a half? Concord. Concord took inspiration from Overwatch. It comes out 8 years later. Overwatch 2 is out. Overwatch 2 is retooling. Nobody cares about Concord. Concord's dead in what, 17 days? Whatever it was. So now you have Fair Games that they announced. Fair Games is going to be another Payday. Payday 2 came and went. So now they don't want to put out Fair Games. You have Marathon. Marathon was an extraction shooter, and once I heard extraction shooter, and I saw, what's the name of that game? Arc Raiders. I saw the advertisements for it. I was like, Marathon is dead, because you already PC is where those games really flourish, and PC players already have their extraction shooters that they're already tied into. And I knew that Marathon, but it still is. I mean, there's still an audience there. It was 800,000 sales. If I look at SteamDB, it'll give me a more accurate, maybe across the million. Honestly, the game should have been free to play first off, right? But at least this way, they don't have to go out like Concord, where they have to refund money, or it's just not a total loss. And because what I can see happening is kind of like what happened with Destiny. This game comes out, they charge $40 for it, and then maybe next year it's free to play. I mean, because if you look at right now, there are 32,000 people playing. That's healthy. Now, for me, I can't give Sea of Thieves props for maintaining, 10 to 15,000 players every day on Steam, not counting what's on PlayStation and Xbox or the Xbox app, and then say 33 is bad. 33 is bad for PlayStation because they have nothing to compete in that space outside of Marathon and Destiny. And when we look at Destiny players, that's the one thing Steam has over the others. They give you something to substantiate these numbers. But Destiny right now, 7,000 players, 10,000 high. You know, that is what they should be trying to put more resources into. I believe that's a better game. I believe that it brings something different. Marathon is to me it plays well. If you like extraction shooters, it's fine, but they're late. They're late. The chance that they had to be somewhat unique in the space was factions, and they canceled that for whatever reason. You know, the opponents have their reasons. I have my reason, right? But I think that it'll do what it can, and I think that they have to support it as long as they can, because unless they go out there and do something like an Epic and buy an already successful live service game, I don't see how they do it. But Sony's in trouble, bro. I know you kind of touched on that. If they can't get a service game to pop, I don't believe that they're going to leave PC, but I believe that they want that narrative out there because somehow, some way, they got to have a last ditch effort to get people to abandon PC to come play the sequels. Like Ghost of Yote is not going to bring people to the console. Actually, PlayStation doesn't have anything that people actually are buying. Now they have their hardcore fans, you know, the YouTubers, the people who are doing podcasts just like us, that they love their PlayStation. They're gonna ride for PlayStation just like we're gonna ride for Xbox, right? But Xbox, I always knew. This is what I always said about Xbox. There's nothing that anybody in the industry could do to compete with a motivated Microsoft. And Microsoft's been motivated for about 8 years now, since 2017. What's this 20, so 9 years, right? Ever since they started buying studios, right? Google had to take a step back. Amazon's almost out. Like they shut down their biggest game. I forgot what it was called because Legal was playing it. I was playing it in the beta, in the early access or whatever, but I don't have time for these service games. I got Game Pass, 400 games. I don't have time to play it, too many service games. But just to go back to answer your question, they have to stay with it. They have to continue to try to. If 30,000 people are playing concurrently, that's to me that's healthy. But is it good enough for Sony? I don't think it's good enough for Sony because they're bringing out games. They sell a lot of consoles, and their fans take pride in them selling consoles, all while not looking at the big picture, which is they can sell 120 million consoles and can't hit 10 million sales on these games. We still don't have like a true litmus test for the games they released this generation. Spider-Man 2 sold less than one, slightly bundled. God of War, Horizon were bundled for a year. So they basically pushed those games through the popularity of the console. Uh, what else did they have? I mean, the show is it sells what it sells, but GT, I didn't even hear as much hype about GT. When it comes to PlayStation, they're getting put in a corner. And I don't know if I said it on this show or another show, but if somehow Microsoft has scared them away from PC, Microsoft wins because they're not Nintendo. They can't they can't survive making these big budget games and trying to just sell them to PlayStation fans who are already occupied with Fortnite. So if Microsoft confines them to just being able to operate on just PlayStation and try to get PlayStation owners to buy these games, it's game over for them. It's game over for them. They're never going to get people on PC to come buy a PlayStation. Not for Grand Theft Auto, definitely not for their games. So when it comes to these single player games, they sell well, right? They can say it sold 10 million, but they don't. You have to break down when they sell, what price they're selling. Jim Ryan never lied to these people. Jim Ryan he didn't perjure himself in the court. He said that they will never recover. He said that they cannot compete with Call of Duty, but they tried. So look, I'm gonna always give Jim Ryan his props for trying, right? Even though he knew all these things, he still said, "Hey, you do Lundo, bring some dudes from Treyarch, and we need a Call of Duty competitor." So they brought Deviation. Deviation couldn't make it happen. They gave him another shot with Dark Outlaw. He says that it wasn't a live service game, but I don't believe it. I believe that he's just. I think that Sony has people saying things that they need them to say while they sit back and be quiet and just let things happen. Because I don't see why you bring in Call of Duty guys to make a game that's not a service game, or at least a multiplayer type of game that has microtransactions to compete with the Call of Duty. Because the same way uh, PlayStation canceled SOCOM, MAG, Warhawk, Haze, Resistance, every shooter game that they had, they canceled that so they can hitch themselves up to Call of Duty. They got rid of Japan Studios so they can hitch themselves to Square Enix. All of these things, I said this in the beginning of the generation, back when Legal was reading these articles about, Big Navi and Little Navi and all this stuff. You know, everything that PlayStation has been creating the perception of is going to get exposed this generation. They've never had a strong first party lineup. They were great with marketing and being able to make their one or two games every year look like something bigger than what it was. They never had a huge lineup. It was always a third party or a second party, whichever we want to call it, but it wasn't games owned by PlayStation that built PlayStation to what it is right now. And so that's going to be a problem. These things, look, if these dudes are happy that PlayStation can sell 100 million units and bring them one big game per year, because guess what? Nobody's really checking, or like the boy say, nobody jacking these AA indie games or these Chinese games that look like AAA games. That's the real AI slop, those games. Like everything people are calling AI slop is not AI slop. Those games are the quantum errors of the world. Those are the exclusives that PlayStation fans are accepting and claiming that they have the best platform. Exclusives don't make the platform. Now I know that was that legally said if they gotta go, they gotta go. No, they don't have to go. I've been saying this from the beginning. I don't want to say we, like I'm part of Microsoft, but Xbox does not need PlayStation to succeed. Xbox needs to bury PlayStation. PlayStation is going to continuously be a gnat that always buzzes around because they have no choice. They don't have a counterpunch. The thing they're gonna continue to do is what they've always done. Try to get somebody to do something exclusive with them, hype it up, and it's not gonna sell. These games that we got to play a year after they came out after the Bethesda purchase, they didn't blow up on PlayStation. PlayStation is just getting games to keep them off other platforms because the games that actually sell consoles are not gonna do exclusivity. Like there was gonna be a Titanfall. Microsoft can fund it, and they would not be exclusive. Nobody's gonna do exclusivity anymore. Your games, there's too much competition. If you have all these third-party games making money everywhere, and then they come to your platform and make more money than your games, what part of that is a win for PlayStation? What part of PlayStation keeping their games off of PC or off of Switch and Xbox? How is that a win for PlayStation? It would be if they could actually sell the games. The only way PlayStation could, I don't even think I think they would lose their fans if they got rid of Fortnite. If they should have been more hostile once they got their foot in. Xbox too, but PlayStation is worse. Once they got their footing, they should have said, hey, they should have taken more of a Nintendo approach. But Microsoft is Microsoft. Microsoft has always been like a support company for all the companies. Microsoft can't be a bully. The government saw to it. They threatened to what's the word? The D word? That they divest them. They threatened to divest Microsoft. So Microsoft can't whip out too big of a stick when it comes to things. So they go and try to do business with everybody. That's why you have them. Look, they're the ones who put Netflix on. So even if it's not favorable, Netflix kind of owes Microsoft money at this point. That's how I would approach it if I was at the meeting table, not to make a one-sided deal, but to have some concessions. Because when we were at the top, we put you on our platform and helped make Netflix what it was. So Now it's time to return the favor. You don't have to, but I'm definitely going to present it in that way because that's actually what happened. And I kind of think Microsoft went a little bit too far with the entertainment, but we see what Microsoft has, what they were trying to do when they had Quantum Break and they had a TV show that came with the game. They were trying to do what Netflix, with them and Netflix or and Paramount have begun to do in Amazon, which is the whole Microsoft's always early. That's the thing. PlayStation is always too late. Microsoft seems to be too early at times, most of the time. Because back in 2013, when everybody was complaining about DRM and connections to the internet, what are we doing now? But Microsoft was vilified for it. I remember it was a big problem when I saw it on CNBC that Microsoft was spying on you. I'm like, man, they're supposed to be talking about Republicans and Democrats or something. They're talking about Microsoft spying on you. That's how bad it got for Microsoft. And it's still popular for everybody to beat up on Microsoft. They are the bully. Apple can be bigger by market cap, but they wouldn't be here without Microsoft just having to create competition and keeping that company afloat. Because without them, they would have had to divest. So they buoyed Apple, giving them $100 million. Now Apple is what they are. That's why it's crazy when guys would quote Steve Jobs and say that they're not original. But hey, I don't think I've seen a bigger case of biting the hand that fed you. But PlayStation's got bigger problems than just Marathon. Marathon is a symptom. Marathon, I don't know what they could do to make it bigger, but if they could keep it the same,
You're
or if it
right.
goes down, then what? Then what do they don't have a counterpunch. Fair Games is not coming. Factions is not coming. That Diablo service game that they were creating, or a Path of Exile, lightweight Path of Exile game that they announced like 3 years ago, never heard anything else since.
And
You
they
know what I
just
mean?
closed one of their biggest remake studios in Blue Point, and that was a shock to a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Well,
Because they were
what?
a reliant studio. They just people weren't buying those remakes. You know.
Okay, what can PlayStation really remake that people want to play? Look, they were scared to continue on with your SOCOM. You know what I mean? Or your Mag, your Killzone. They were scared. They'd rather just hitch their wagon on the Call of Duty. You know, maybe try to get a Battlefield deal or a Fortnite V-Buck deal or something to create some kind of exclusivity for their brand. Which I don't knock it. Xbox is doing it too. They've always done it. They learn from the best. Until finally, see, they should have known something when Nintendo said, you know what, you guys have at it. They should have started to focus more on their games at that point versus building these third parties up into what they are today, which is their competition that dominates both their platforms. The only difference is Microsoft is able to make those third party first party. They bought Call of Duty, Minecraft. You know what I mean? They can go buy a game that's at the top of the charts. That's the difference between the two. But PlayStation has nothing to compete. They had the I think it's called Dreams. They tried to do the Little Big Planet thing, but nothing is working. Why? Because everybody's already doing what they finally get the nerve to work themselves up to do, and that's the issue. That's going to continue to be the issue. Ubisoft came out and said the right things, but I haven't seen anything. They said, "Why are we following trends when we should be creating trends?" And that I give it to them. They did come out with a live service game. It didn't last that long, but they tried something. That's what PlayStation has to do, and that's why, if anything, PlayStation fans should be more upset with factions not coming out than any of this other stuff. Because what they don't realize is, I mean, they realize it. They just, for some reason, they want to be oblivious to the fact that they're not selling enough of these games. They hear 20 million, or they say stuff like PlayStation is being greedy. They don't need infinite money. They don't need a money making machine. Yes, they do. All these public companies have to be higher than they were last year. Now, unless Sony's going to go buy back all their shares, they got to start to create more money. They got to do something that makes more money to keep people invested in the company. But this one game per year, and the media protects them. The media is protecting Marathon right now. Look, they got a point that it's not a bad game. It's just a late game, and everybody and their mama knew that Marathon was going to come out and it wasn't going to take over the world. Once they played it, and the first impression by all of the influencers were negative, like, but what is PlayStation going to do at this point? Well, I heard code name Matter like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, when Bungie announced it. You know what I mean? So that there were years and millions of dollars put into it. But what a lot of people forget too, and we can switch gears to something else after this. But a lot of people forget, man. I give PlayStation more credit than even a lot of PlayStation fans because they don't see the big picture. When Hiroki Totoki came out and said they don't have enough bankable IP, and PlayStation fans scoffed at it like they know better than him because there are franchises that they love from PlayStation, like Jack and Daxter or Sly Cooper, but what or even Infamous. Why don't we talk about the fact that if those games sold a lick, they would still be making them? Ratchet is on like 16, right? And I give them props for at least hanging in there and trying to build something, because this is what a lot of these companies don't have the patience to do. Everybody's looking for instant hits. Sometimes you gotta build. God of War didn't blow up until 2018, but it was like 7 or 8 other games before that. This is why I say if Sea of Thieves was a PlayStation game, it would be dead because Sea of Thieves did not hit the ground running. You know what I mean? But PlayStation has to figure out. Look, they can continue selling consoles, but like I said, they're about to be reduced to Steam. Steam fans don't care that Steam doesn't bring out a whole lot of games. Well, we just love Steam. We just love that Steam treats us like human beings and they give us a 2-hour refund policy. That's great. Xbox does that on PC and console. But what does Steam actually do? I mean, you got your 30 million people that play CS:GO, probably 20 more play Dota. But what actually do they bring, right? Half-Life Alyx was outstanding. I still think it's the best VR game, and it's old. But what else can you really expect from Valve other than a storefront? And that's pretty much what PlayStation is about to be for PlayStation fans who buy their hardware. This is why I say that Xbox need to go ahead and put the pedal to the metal, put the foot on their chest, stop putting games over there. Look, stop feeding their customers. Show them where they can go to make these get to play games. Look, Fortnite is a big problem. What's the name of that game I've been saying? Arc Raiders is about to be a problem. If people are playing games like that, Madden is a problem. 2K is a problem. You know, these games are what are occupying the casual audience, and I think you said that we're the ones keeping things afloat, but there are not enough of us. And not, there are
No,
not
there's
enough
not.
game. There are not enough gamers that are out there. Look, what's his name? Matt Piscatella. He said it. On average, people are buying 2 to 3 games, and we know what 2 to 3 games they're buying. You know what I mean? There are not enough of us. This is where Game Pass. That was the beauty of Game Pass. Basically, training gamers how to play games again. Games plural. Get out of this. I get off from work. I got some spare time, and I just jump on Fortnite because it's comfortable and I know I can find the game. And look, it can be fun. It can be fun to get on there and talk junk and have some shoot a few people up. But that's not helping the entire industry because Epic is not giving money to these good games that fail. EA is not hell. Even EA with their annual success had to sell. They've been trying to sell for 4 years, probably 5. You know what I mean? There are rumors of Microsoft buying them. Like the whole industry, I've been saying it for a long time. I don't know how many years that the industry is top heavy, and we got to get back to gaming. We got to get back to playing. We got to get back to playing other than just the like we got Crimson Desert right now. It was Baldur's Gate last year, but I think Baldur's Gate was way like probably 4 times larger on PC than it was on console. It's a PC game. But Hogwarts comes out, so it sells 20 million in a year. You get one game like that per year. What happens to the rest of these good games? You know what I'm saying? I finally beat Outer Worlds. I'm like, man, I'm disappointed in the community when I see these achievements pop. 0.06% of gamers, 0.007 of gamers. Like, God, dog, nobody is actually getting into these games. But that's also something that, that's a symptom of Game Pass. I don't have to stick with something that I'm not in love with if I have 400 other games to play. So there are a lot of things that I'm glad that I don't have the job. I mean, if they want to give it to me, I do it, but I'm glad it's not my responsibility to get these simple gamers to become complex. I don't know how old you are. I know you're not that young, but back in my day, we had Blockbuster Video. And if you were a good kid, you might get to rent 2 games for the weekend. You know, you might get more than one game. You might get to get more than one game, and that game is gonna be what, $4 for the weekend?
Realist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
You
you had to
just
try to beat it the weekend because
you just
you
popped the
couldn't keep
light
it
bulb.
longer than that.
You just
Yeah.
popped the light bulb in my head, realist. You know what'd be amazing that Xbox could do?
What?
Open these. Remember how 360 had these little pop-ups where you could go and sit. There's Xbox 360 chairs, this and that. Do a video game rental like that, and then instead of getting physical, you pay and get a pay rent to get like a digital code, and then you go back home and then you put the code, redeem it, play it for however many days you rent it for, and it expires. Give that video club vibes when you go, just like a Blockbuster. Go choose your movie, get your popcorns, Cheetos, whatever snacks, and go home. That'd be cool, huh?
It'd be interesting, man. But the problem is, I said this on another show earlier, man.
Hmm.
Gamers just don't care, man. Gaming is not as big as we made it to be. A lot of people are gaming, but a lot of people aren't gaming like we game.
Yeah.
We hear how much
No, they're
money
not.
we hear how much money gaming makes, but it's always been top heavy since I've been paying attention to it. Fortnite is your biggest game. You got your Roblox, which is probably bigger than Fortnite, probably, right? So you got those two games that your kids are already captured. I know my kids want to play Roblox. I'd say, hey man, why don't y'all try this game, man? That game that look like trash. Why is that funny, y'all? But it's about the community, and you gotta look at the type of society we live in. Back in my day, we used to go outside and play. You know, back in my day, we would get home from school, do our homework, and ask for permission to go outside. Now I gotta make the kids go outside. It's a totally different way of living now, and so that's their social life. That's their friend around the corner. Let's play Roblox. It's too hot in Houston. It's been hot all these many years, but all of a sudden it's too hot to go outside and play. They rather just sit and play Roblox.
Yeah.
So it's totally different, man. There are a lot of issues for them to fix, man. And Game Pass was a great attempt, but it's not enough to break these people off of Fortnite. And if there is the one game that comes along, they're just gonna buy that game. They don't have to subscribe for $300 just to play that game. See, when it comes to movies, Netflix works because movies are, you know, 1.5 hours to 3 hours long, right? And then you got your shows. They all come to an end. And they all come to an end. And most people don't have time to beat a Crimson Desert. Most people don't have time to beat it in Outer Worlds or play it, like really play it. They can straight line it, but they don't have time to actually play these huge 150 gigabyte games.
No, man.
They
It's so
don't.
they dip in and dip out when they have time, and that's it.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Like when you dip in and dip out of these games, you forget how to play them and just say the hell with it. I know I
Yeah.
do. Like, there's some games that I quit and said, let me jump on this, man. This new hype. And then I come back and I say, man, I forgot how to. I forgot what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and I don't want to do it anymore.
We had
So,
them. Yeah.
so just getting back to like to PlayStation. How do they get their gamers? They can't even hook their gamers to something that doesn't end. Let's say that the Ghost of Ishii comes out and Ghost of Kyoto comes out and it it sells 50 million. It's gonna come to an end. And another thing that PlayStation does horribly, and that I had to verbally slap around some of these Xbox fans that I would hear say, we need games like PlayStation. I'm like, man, what game out there brings you what Halo brings you?
9.
None, none. And Halo has the highest expectation. Not even Call of Duty did it. Fortnite is beginning to do it now. You know what I mean? There was Forge, there were multiplayer, there were multiplayer modes, there was co-op, campaign. What other game was bringing that? But PlayStation will bring a game out and then wait a year to bring out a co-op or a multiplayer mode. By the time they come out with the multiplayer mode, the only people that are coming to it are the hardcore fans of that game. You know what I mean? Like, because nobody else is looking back. You know what I mean? So the Legends that comes out for Ghost of Yote, like, who's playing that? You don't hear PlayStation fans even talking about it. You don't see screenshots. You don't. You know what? Twitter has turned into it has always been a cesspool, but it's like it's so fraudulent. Like I don't even see screenshots of games anymore when I get on there. Used to be a place where people would post their screen. I know part of it is like a lot of them don't want to pay Elon, but there are other ways that you can still do it. But like it used to be a lot more people posting actual gaming. But like I said, I'm glad it's not my job to try to wean these people off of these service games, because that's the issue. And like I said before, if they can't do that, then gaming as we know it is gonna be gone. Like we'll probably be good and dead, but I want it to at least resemble something like it looks like now before I quit playing games. Because you got a lot of studios coming out here to fail, man. 20,000 games getting dropped on PC. Uh, well, they'll take anything on Steam, but like Xbox, man, who doing that, man? I'm thirsty, man. Who drinking? What y'all drinking, man? What you drinking?
I
That's
What you
what
got
it
the
drinking?
sounds like. He's drinking a Slurpee or something.
Yeah.
He's,
so sorry. I'm having.
Hey, look. My throat getting dry doing all this talking. I'm gonna take a sip of my.
I'm so so. I'm hitting this Tex-Mex right now. My bad. My microphone.
Man, you slurping Tex-Mex?
Yeah. It's no. It's like these little. What is this? Snack mix.
Oh, a snack mix. It still sounds like you sucking a straw when you eat
My
nuts.
bad. My
No
bad. I'm
diddy.
no drinking for me, bro.
But look, I mean, because I kind of like to have conversation, but you boys went off for like 30 minutes a piece. So like, if you ran PlayStation, how would you fix it? The one good thing that they do have is they sell consoles, but after that, where's the real win? You're not getting timed exclusives that people care about anymore. The gamers don't really care about your first party. Look. I think everybody should just go to PC. PlayStation can't afford that though. PlayStation still has the console storefront dominance, so they need to hold on to that as long as they can. But what happens once the hammer drops on them? It's already dropped on Google. It's about to drop on Apple. What happens? So we already, hey, resident, what is the cut? the Xbox takes on PC?
They, I think it's just pretty much. I mean, Steam. I think Steam
No, no, no,
charges
no,
them
no. I
20
said
or no.
Xbox.
I don't think there's any. I think they
No,
take the full 100%,
no,
right?
hell no,
No,
hell no.
no.
No,
Okay,
nobody's doing that. So you don't know.
no, I don't.
Okay, okay. Epic, Microsoft are in cahoots. When Epic's fighting Apple, Microsoft's a silent partner and a vocal partner when they need to be. When it comes to PC storefronts, Epic and Microsoft take 12%. Steam takes customary 30 on a de-escalating basis. What that basis is, I forgot. I never cared. I don't value Steam like most people. I don't value Google and I don't value Apple, although I have those phones. I don't value them as a storefront because I've read too many developer stories about how they can't even pay to keep themselves afloat after they give up 30% to somebody who's just hosting a storefront. Now, give Apple credit for being able to sell their hardware. Give PlayStation credit for being able to sell their hardware. That's the only reason I justified in my head the 30% take from PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo because they're creating a platform, doing the R&D, and giving you a place to sell your games. Same thing with cell phones. But we've hit critical mass on a lot of things, and so things should change as time goes forward. But once Xbox makes themselves a PC, now the one thing they got to rectify is, are they going to be able to charge for online gaming? It's not an attractive PC if I can build my own and get free online and get your games on Steam if that's what is important to me, right? Because even on Xbox app, I don't pay for internet. So what happens? What happens? People can poo 40, 45, 50 million or whatever the number of consoles the Xbox has sold. 50 million is a lot. So let's just say they don't price out. I think by the end of the gen, they'll be where the Xbox One was, 60, maybe even 70. Because I think that a lot of people are starting to see the light. You know, I'm starting to see more people claim Xbox. I was talking to a guy earlier today. He said he's an Xbox guy. I was like, what? Okay, tell me about it. Said he been playing since Halo 3. I said, oh, that's great, man. Young boy. So, not that young. Anyway, what happens? What becomes a more attractive place to sell your games? If they nail the execution and getting these games direct into the store as easy as the competition does it, competition being Steam, what becomes more attractive? Because a lot of the reasons why people were skipping the PC app is because there was the Xbox console, but now the Xbox console is a PC hybrid. What becomes a more attractive platform to sell your wares? There are a lot of people who much rather do business with Epic than Steam, but they can't do that because people don't want to use Epic. They don't really want to use Xbox either. But Xbox has way more games than Epic. Epic has Fortnite and Rocket League. Other than that, people are just taking their free games. Microsoft's offering the service. Microsoft's offering the strongest first party lineup, first to third party, whatever you want to call it. So they have a lot more to offer as a platform than PlayStation. But if they're only asking for 12%, while PlayStation is going out to ask for 30, then what happens? Because Steam's taking 30, but the more they sell, the less the Steam takes. But what a lot of the Steam fans don't mention is that a lot of people can't even hit those de-escalators. By the time they do hit the de-escalators, the game is on deep discounts and sales, and they're taking a bigger cut of less money. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you an example. I think that once they hit their first million, it goes down 5% or something like that. Once they hit 5 or 10 million, then it goes down another percentage. But these games, most of these games aren't hitting those numbers until after they've been out for years and they're selling them for darn near free before they start to hit those numbers. It's rare you get your Elden Ring comes out, blows it out. Your Crimson Desert comes out, blows it out. Even Marathon, as bad as you were talking about it, it's still gonna hit. It's still gonna hit the de-escalators. You know what I mean? That's what I believe Microsoft has to offer. But PlayStation, if they are trying to insulate themselves like Nintendo does, they're gonna die. They're gonna bury themselves alive because they don't have the cachet. They don't have the people that are there to buy their games. They don't have enough of those people, and that's the problem that they're gonna have. But Resident, what would you do if we fired Hiroki Totoki or Nishino, and we made you the CEO? How do you fix PlayStation's problem? How do you make PlayStation? We know we sell consoles, but we don't do much else outside of existing as a storefront. We need an identity. We need something that the people come to us for. We need something that the people love us for. How's that?
So, it's a really hard question because, what have they not tried, right? What have they not tried, right? Like, they need to come up with more creativity, right? They need to bring in some different minds to kind of look at things from the current trends, like what people are interested these days, like what pulls their attention, like how can they create new gaming experiences or new forms of ways to entertain somebody like playing a video game, right? Like what can be the next big thing for them? Like how could they utilize their hardware to kind of bring something new and exciting to the table? I think that could help. I think they need to try to come up with some sort of new innovations with their platform, kind of like what Nintendo did with with the Wii, with the Wii nunchuck. That was an interesting new thing that hadn't been tried before. I'm just spitballing here because
Mr. Gamer, we don't spitball in this boardroom, okay? We've thrown enough crap at this wall. It's time for you to give us direction. How do you help us bring us back to our former glory where people see right now we got them loving the console.
They need to build strong characters and franchises. They need to bring stuff that people want to, like, people are interested, right? Like they need to bring like some sort of like interesting different type of games that just maybe haven't been explored before, something that like is very short and addictive, like mobile games, like a basketball game, right? Like we just
shut down our mobile games.
You remember bring it back? It should be a popular, fast, like a short burst kind of game where people could get hooked and addicted to it really quick. Like with Flappy Bird, right? Like it's a very simple game, right? You just hit the bird.
You want us, the AAA company, to become Flappy Bird. That's your proposal.
No, I'm saying that they need to. You're funny, man. What I'm trying to say is they need to find the next new hook. They need to find something that people will know PlayStation by, that they'll be interested in actually coming back more and more from. Is that a new IP? I don't know. Is that a new character? Like they need to build like the same kind of powerful Mario kind of character presence where people keep coming back for the console because they want to play with that one character because they have a personal bond or relationship with it because they grew up on it.
Made guys a better father. So what do
Yeah, I'm sure Pa Rappa the Rappa made him a better rapper too, right?
That was a PlayStation game.
Yeah, it was. But that's what I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying here, but they need to go back to the drawing board. They need to come up with something like different, board. Something. That's what I'm saying. I am not. I would not want to be in Sony's shoes right now because from what we're seeing, like this seems like they've run out of ideas, and it's not easy to come up with something like many companies have tried, right? Like the only thing I would say is they need to try to do some sort of games that people are not playing, like the popular games, the games that they're already oversaturated, like the extraction shooters, the multi-hero shooters, the first person shooters. They need to stop repeating doing those type of games. Need to do something, a different type of genre. I don't know, something that's just never been tried before. What that is, I don't know, but I'm just saying, like, Sony has tried the same old playbook, using the same old strategies, and it's not working. So if you tried the same things over and over again, you're getting the same result. When you want to try to explore something different, like try to go outside of the box and try to come up with something.
All you keep saying is something and anything, Mr. Gamer.
I know it's that, and
Check
that's
it out.
the
Check it out.
difficult thing is like.
I'm your flunky, right? I'm the guy who does the work and you just go do it like you did it, okay? So check it out. First thing I would do, get rid of all live service games that I don't make.
Yes.
Screw it.
How about
Look,
multi-genre
I would lose.
games? So you blend 2 or 3 different genres of games into one game. And that's a way
man,
of making it unique.
High Guard, okay? We just had High Guard do that. Right?
See, they're trying. That's what I'm saying. Like things are.
That's not PlayStation.
Then I know, but like the industry's trying. There are exploring different ways to play games, different types of games, and like nothing's hitting. Like that's what I'm trying to say is like people seem to be fine just playing those same 5 to 10 games that we always see. Like they don't really, it's not a big deal to them if this new exciting different game comes out, or if a niche game comes out, or if a new RPG comes out, or if a new Diablo. They don't care about any about that. They just care about playing with their friends, right? It's not about exploring new games anymore. Like for a catalog, like a Blockbuster. Yeah, I know.
That's the kids.
But for adults, yes.
We need them to love us, not just our console. We need them to love our studios, right? We got hardcore fans. We love them. We treat them like crap, right?
Yep.
We love them in our own special way. But we need more people to love us for us. We need people to love what we bring to the table, our world-class titles. So, free to play, maybe I don't get rid of them, right? But somehow, some way, they need to be compensating me in some way. Because I always defended, I've always been a defender of Jim Ryan saying that you need to pay us for crossplay. Because what crossplay does is it expands the reach of your game, gives your game a more live fan base to play with while taking them away from my games. So somehow we need to come to a fair and equitable agreement, or you can have them all go play on iPads. Because at the rate you're going, and you're going to cut me down to 12%, that's next to nothing anyway, right? So take your ball and go home. I need to start creating on my platform. Let's see how many people drop a PlayStation to start playing on their tablets. Let's see that, right? So I'm bringing factions back. And maybe I stylize it in the way that they took Horizon and stylized it, to where it somehow becomes a more broad user base, right? Because if I create a Last of Us style game where they're gurgling blood and stuff like that, kids can't play that. It's gonna get an adult rating, and I'm gonna narrow it. But hey, kids are playing Grand Theft Auto. We can take that. We can take a vote on that. I'm bringing factions back. I'm going back to apologize to Blue Point. I'm going to ask Blue Point to make the Resistance game that they presented to me, and we're going to see what happens with that. That's our Gears of War. We're never gonna let it die because as long as Halo has been getting its teeth kicked in by Halo and other, as long as Halo's been getting its teeth kicked in by Call of Duty and other shooters, Xbox never left it. Xbox kept bringing it out. So we need to have that kind of spirit about our IP. It's time for us to build. We might bleed a little bit, but if we have a long term plan, we gotta fight. We
We
gotta
got to
fight.
take risks, right?
We can't just
Yeah.
give in. Now, risks cost money, right? We got a $3.7 billion risk that is not paying off.
And they haven't paid up. Yeah, they haven't paid it off.
Right.
Yep.
So no, it hasn't paid off. I don't know how their credit rating looks, but it hasn't paid them. They have not received the return on investment, according to the biggest pony, who says that they haven't made any. What's his name? Colin Moriarty. So they haven't made the money back. Right. They're basically breaking even with Bungie. So I'm bringing back Resistance. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna tell Deviation and hey guys, we need to have a powwow, right? And we need to get somebody in here. Hey Pete. Hey, you want another? You like cars? Come on back. Come on back. Let's reestablish Bungie to what it was. We don't need you to oversee all of our studios. We're gonna send them back to class, or we're gonna bring in a team, and maybe you put the finishing touches on it. Fair games, we don't want that. That was a mistake. Concord, we don't want that. But factions has to come back. Horizon, we at least got to give it a shot on console. I mean, it sold 15 million. People got it for free with their console. Many of them didn't play it, but the ones that did play it, maybe they want to play Hunter's Gathering. Let's bring that to console too. We need a live service hit. Blue Point, you get on that Resistance, right? Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yote. Hey, you guys need to jump on the next one. But this time, we need a more robust multiplayer, and we needed the data game drops. From now on, there will be no more games that come out without their multiplayer portion or co-op portion. We need that. Microsoft's our biggest competitor. They say we're not competition, but we got to go at them, right? We can't have third-party exclusivity. We need to create our own exclusivity that people want. At least the people on our platform. We at least need to own our platform. We need to look at Nintendo and see what they've done. We know that they had a 20-year head start. People love Mario. They have a franchise that is unstoppable in Pokemon. Maybe we go right at them. We have a marketing deal with Pocket Pair. Let's blow this up. Let's put more marketing muscle behind them. They got a Pal Farm game coming out. Let's get started on the next Pal World game. Right? Let's see if we can get that exclusive. But let's put some money and muscle behind that game. We need to blow this thing up. We need people to start thinking about we probably need to even create a trading card game. And let's just see what happens. But we need to create excitement around what we do here at Sony. Right? That's the beginning of what I do. They keep saying that they want to reduce their dependence on third party. How else to do it other than to just do it? They got to just do it. Otherwise, they're going to just be a storefront. They're going to be like Steam, and I'm going to keep laughing at their fan base for celebrating 100 million console sales with 4 games a generation or 8 games a generation. They're not getting a game from Naughty Dog this generation. Oh, Ben. Hey, Ben, Days Gone 2. Days Gone 2 with co-op. We love what you did. Let's just do it right day one. You don't have half a lifetime to get it done, but let's get on it. You see, if live service or multiplayer is not your expertise, we're not going to do that. We should have learned from Bethesda with the way they handle Fallout. We should have learned from that. Instead, we repeated their mistakes. They say a wise person learns from a fool's mistakes, and we were the fool right along with them. Multiplayer, if we need another team to come in and help you with that, that's what we'll do. But they got to put that in people's faces. They got to find a way to get people away from these games. They're about to die. People don't understand what's happening once Xbox goes to PC, man. All of this, we can't sell consoles in China. When it just becomes an app, the reach is about to change. All they need to do is better localize and market in these areas. They don't market here, so I know they ain't marketing in Japan and China. Microsoft. But Microsoft don't need saving. Microsoft saved itself when it decided to not become totally reliant on the console. See, Microsoft did it like PlayStation talks about doing it. Microsoft says we don't want to be dependent on the console, so we'll go into PC, which is ours. But this ain't about Microsoft making more money. This is about PlayStation surviving as a company, trying to maintain some of its quote unquote normalcy of the way that they've always done things by having something exclusive, having a reason for people to come to their platform. Right now, people are going to their platform just because it's what they've always done, bro.
It's
When
just
I talk
comfort food. Yeah.
when I talk to people about their PlayStation, they don't care about these games that PlayStation makes. They're talking about games that I'm playing on Xbox or my PC. They're not talking about these PlayStation games, and that's where PlayStation really screwed up. They don't own Spider-Man. When X-Men drops, they're not gonna own that either. They got to give up 18 to 35% of X-Men sales, Wolverine sales. They give up 35 to 40% of 33 to 45% of Spider-Man sales. Like that's not ownership. That's not bankable IP that you own. That is a problem. Nobody is loving PlayStation for PlayStation. They love the console. These dudes hugging consoles. They're not hugging the
Kissing them.
console
Yeah.
with a copy of God of War in the other hand. These dudes are loving the console with a copy of 2K. That is our problem. These dudes are talking about how much they love PlayStation while all their memories are of GTA or 2K. We need them to love us. We messed up. But that's where I would start. Would it work? I don't think it would work. But I see what they're trying to do, and if that's what they're trying to do, that's what I would do. You know what I mean? If you're going to reduce the reliance on third party, reduce the reliance on third party. Not by making more games that's going to get squashed by third party. Get them the hell on.
Yeah, and how do you encourage
Bring
these
back game
people to
day.
get off these games and stop playing these same games and play something different?
Yeah. Hey,
That's the
look,
thing.
bring back game day, bro. Because
Yeah.
before 2K was 2K, Visual Arts was a Sega Dreamcast studio. You know what I mean? Everybody was taking a dump on 2K. Everybody was talking about how live and Madden was better, and I'm like, bro, in 5 years, ain't nobody gonna be playing Madden or NBA Live. I remember my cousin before he died. He said, "Bro, how did you know that, bro?" I said, "Man, I watch these games, bro. I don't know how you don't pay attention, but hey, I was a game nerd back in the day." He said, "Bro, you said ain't nobody gonna be playing live, bro. And look at it, bro. Live gone, bro. How did you know?" Because I know what a good game is. And I'm sure that you got executives somewhere in those studios in the annals of Sony that know what a good game is. I'm surprised when these big corporations put out trash games. I think they get sold a dream, and then once they see it, it's too late to go back.
They've already
You know what I mean?
invested too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But bring back game day. You see, look, the show is good. It's better than what 2K and EA were doing. You know what I mean? We need that back. But look at what EA was able to do. EA basically punked everybody out. Microsoft can't make Fever no more. Well, if you want Madden, you don't make Fever anymore. So I'm pretty sure they did the same thing to Sony. No more 989. Let's have you here for us. Let's have I want 2K football back, but not the way if it's gonna be like 2K, which you know it is. If it's gonna be like NBA 2K, I don't want it back. But I want you playing game day, not Madden. I want you playing Warhawk, not Call of Duty. I want you playing Destiny, not thinking about Halo.
Yeah, they got to bring the excitement to the platform back.
Yeah,
They gotta
look, look.
bring the strong character mascot. Like they gotta get their own Mario, because Mario
They
has stood the
tried.
test of time. I know.
Okay, okay. When you want to look, I get that's why I just gave him credit for Ratchet, bro. Mario been kicking for like 50 years, man. Ratchet been going on for at least 20. If it's like 16 of those games. But I mean, look at what they did with Astro. They went old school. They put it in the box. But the problem I have with Astro, since you brought up Astro, Mr. Gamer, I like that idea. I like that idea. But this is what we're gonna do. What kind of personality does Astrobot have? Where's Astrobot from? Lithuania? Africa? Australia? Where is he from? Because Astrobot needs to have a personality. Maybe there's a
He doesn't have,
boy in here.
yeah, no
Because
identity.
we
Yeah,
because we need to sell his story. We need people to have an attachment. Look, people jumping down
human
pipes.
connection. Yep.
People jumping down pipes with piranha plants chasing them doesn't make sense, but it worked, right? Look at Sonic. Like Sonic's still kicking. Nope. Look, let's not worry about Mario. Let's just worry about what we do here. Because as it stands, nobody can stand up to Mario. Mario's got 40 years and $2 billion movies. It's gonna take us 40 plus to catch up to Mario, but let's do what we could do so that the people here on our console love us. Anyway, that was a fun exercise. They in trouble. They're in trouble, bro. They, and
I don't. I don't see
their
a way
fans are
out for them. Do
celebrating just
you?
like
I
Steve.
don't. Yeah,
Um,
they act like nothing's wrong. They act like everything's fine. Like
no, because
it's crazy to me.
actually the media is handicapping them. See, it's
Yep.
the media that Sony paid for that makes them look good, but the thing that the market, most people are not hardcore. Most people are not tuning into Colin Moriarty. They're not listening to podcasts at freaking 0100, right? They're not. Those people are just gonna jump right into what everybody else is doing. You know what I mean? Those are the people that on Nintendo. Those are the same people that are standing. They're still doing midnight launches for Pokemon. You know what I mean? That we don't like. We're not doing that for Halo anymore. You know what I mean? It's a different time. The excitement is different. The camaraderie is different. You know what I mean? We calling people racial slurs on the internet now. You know, that's our camaraderie. Not sitting around nerding out at GameStop or EB or whatever they call it wherever you're from. You know, it's different. But how I think it's too far gone. And
Yeah,
so
I agree.
the way that Xbox is and look, man, I'm as a company, a gaming company, I'm upset with Microsoft for waiting so long to actually take control of their platform when it comes to gaming. Let's step back and watch Steam become what it's become. They did nothing about it, right? It was basically Wild Wild West back in the day. You just got a disc and installed it, and you played the game and put it on Kazaa, and people would pirate it. You know what I mean? But like they should have created a platform.
Kaza, you're bringing up Kaza.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's
Old
why I used to
school,
get. That's why I
man.
used to get. That's why I used to get my game. That's what. Look, that's why I had a PC, man, so that I can be a pirate.
Yep. Torrent. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, Pirate Bay. You know what I'm saying, bro? I still got ISOs, right? Look, Feds coming. I do. I still got ISOs. I know I've gone back to buy those games. Once I
uTorrent.
realized,
That's I use a lot of
what
uTorrent.
I don't. I just use Pirate Bay or it used to be Jeeves. Or you could just search right in the Kaza app for the game you wanted. It'll take a couple days to
What about
download the
Famo? Do you
game.
use Kaza?
Huh?
I
Nah,
was
nah, nah,
asking
nah.
legal if you use
Nah,
Kaza.
nah, nah, nah. Legal console guy, man. But my mama had a good computer, man, and shoot, that was my computer. And you were able to get a store-bought PC and game. You know what I mean? Now you get a store-bought PC, you're in trouble. You know, unless it's a gaming PC. But look, Xbox needs to go old school. If there's one thing that Xbox because I was just looking at a video of McDonald's and Burger King about how how Burger King, well, first McDonald's made a commercial
Funny
about a little boy
dude.
who went
You a funny dude.
to I guess recess, and he had McDonald's, and everybody would take his food. Next, and came to school, they take his food again. So finally, he puts his McDonald's food in a Burger King bag, and nobody takes it from him. Right. Then Burger King responds with an ad about how fake McDonald's meat is. Xbox really needs to start going for the jugular of these of what should be pain points that aren't currently pain points with these with gamers. The fact that PlayStation won't give you refunds if you download a game, even if you haven't played it. The fact that they're on a console that is not really doing anything outside of just being a console. Outside of just being trendy, is really not doing anything, right? But Microsoft's not going at that they're charging nearly the same amount for their service as Game Pass without offering day one games. Microsoft does not put that in the forefront. They're not. That needs to be out in front of everybody. How much better they are as a platform than PlayStation. They don't do that enough.
I agree. They need
Maybe
to
they're
do that.
waiting. You know, they had a guy who marketed Netflix come in. I didn't see a change. Supposedly they have a new marketing team under Asha. I, I mean, it's still fresh, but they really need to start attacking that competition. They really need to get back to that because it seems like everybody wants to be
They
distinguished
got to ditch
gentlemen
the
in this nerdy
kumbaya.
game.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
time to start going after the competition. It's time to get back to Ratchet going at Mario, to Sonic going at Mario. We need to get back to that. That what Peter Moore was, that Peter Moore's Sega attitude, where it's a fight. Right now, the corporations sit back and we pay money to do the marketing for these companies. We do the console war. The console war started at a corporate level. The corporation just sitting back collecting money, and we not making them fight. They need to get back to that. We spend time on Twitter, uh, video forums, online forums, doing the console war for these corporations. They need to get at each other. But Microsoft, most of all, because they are the ones that are playing catch up when it comes to hardware sales. Software sales, it's proven. Any quote unquote, I don't even want to say the word, any good game that Microsoft has is going to blow up wherever it releases. Fable is going to blow up everywhere it's released. South of Midnight is going to be a dud wherever it's released. Hell Blade is going to be a dud wherever it's released. That doesn't make them bad games. It just makes them games that aren't mass appealing. When Forza goes over to PlayStation, it's going to blow GT out the water. It's crazy that Microsoft can bring a $70 game and give them an early access for a 3-year-old game, and they jump on it. That's how down bad they are over there. And they don't even know it. That's the problem. They don't even know it. That they could have played the same game 3 years ago. That they could, if you do like South of Midnight or Hellblade, if you like Sea of Thieves, you could have been playing that. This next generation, Microsoft needs to make sure you let these hoes know where they can go if they want to play the game. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to do dancing on in your video. You know what I'm saying? Come over here to Xbox. That's what they need to do. But they're not doing it. I just think they need to get back to it because they're not exposing these pain points in a way that I think that they should. I don't know if they're trying to play nice for somebody or what. But by the time the next generation rolls around, everybody needs to know where they should go if they actually want to play games. If they actually want access to a service that's putting in work for them. They had a show today. Most of those games are gonna be in Game Pass. So outside of people who watch the show, everybody on PlayStation should know about that. They need to stop putting PlayStation logos on their videos too. Oh man, that irked me every time I saw the little PlayStation logo on the bottom of those videos. Like, why are you hoes still doing that? You know what I'm saying? Phil gone. Cut out this, man. We ain't trying to be nice no more. We want to let the gamers know where they can play the games. Look, man, stop that. Because the only place you should be letting them know that they can play the games is the place that pays you. You know. But I saw that PlayStation logo. I was like, man, these hoes tripping. They still doing the same thing. They still got it. I said, man, and I was like, well, maybe the video was made before. Maybe this is old footage. Maybe this video was just spliced together a long time ago. You know. But man, that
Speak
was
on
not
it,
a good
realist.
sight for me.
Speak on it.
But what do you think about the show, bro? What's your rating on the show? Like how many of those games excited you? How many of those games do you think you're gonna play, or did you even watch the show? You, Spartan, Legal, anybody? Man, don't tell me y'all went to sleep on me, man.
No, I'm
Oh
still awake.
man,
I'm still awake.
somebody dropped.
I
Who was
didn't
that?
catch the show. I didn't catch the show.
I mean,
You didn't. What
No,
are we doing? What are we doing, bro?
my brain work.
the show was all right to
Oh,
me,
you at
man.
work?
It was all good. It was all right.
Yeah, I was at work. I missed the show.
Yeah. Well, man, a lot of games we saw. So, did you watch Resident?
Which the partner showcase? No.
Man, did you go
Was there
take
anything
a
like?
potty break or something, bro?
Well, I can't. Yeah, I mean, I got to go to the bathroom sometime, you know.
Yeah, hey man, I ain't tripping, man. Cause see, look, man, ain't nothing like
It's
talking
all
to
right, man.
yourself.
The show was all
What
right. It wasn't
was there
Nothing like
anything
ain't
that
nothing like passing the baton to nobody.
was there anything exciting? I mean, like that you saw anything that was like interesting?
Look, man, I like the Expanse. I bought. I love Telltale now. Like I didn't learn
Yeah,
about
me too.
Telltale.
They're great storytellers. I
Yeah,
like their games.
right. I didn't learn about them until they went out of business, right? And when they went out of business, I got the whole catalog for 79.99, I think. And
Realist.
it, sir,
What's this? I'm looking at it right now just to catch up. As you mentioned, the show. They introduced this game, and sorry for interrupting you.
you
Stranger
good?
Than Heaven.
Yeah, we knew about that. We didn't know what it was, but we knew that Ryuko Guga, however you say the name,
Well,
the
this game
creators,
looks
the
slick,
creators
man.
of Yakuza, that's their game. We knew it was coming.
That
Yeah,
is
I heard
nice.
that game's in trouble. Actually,
No. You're talking about another game. You're talking about the
yeah,
the
they're
guy who left the Yakuza studio to go
Ryu
create
yeah they're having trouble
Ryuku's.
finding funding. That's what I was thinking.
well, NetEase. Hey man, hey man, the industry is hurting right now, man. Like NetEase is one of the big dogs. NetEase is one of the reasons that um, Bobby sold to Microsoft in the first place. At least if you believe what he said when he went on C whatever that news network was, when he said that the United States isn't allowing them to compete in a way that allows them to be competitive with companies from the East. Because the one thing that they do differently than we do over here, over here is like free enterprise. Over there, you have to have a venture partner, right? You can't just go into China and start doing business. You can't just go into Japan and start doing business. You have to create a venture partnership, and you have to basically let a Japanese or Chinese company be your liaison, right? And then you guys are partners over there. That's why Call of Duty Mobile was in trouble. Now it's gone because I believe that was NetEase that was making that for them, right? That was one of
Yep.
the things he brought up NetEase and he brought up ByteDance, right? Those are the two companies that he mentioned in Tencent, but he emphasized ByteDance and NetEase, right? Those if that company didn't want to come up with $40 million, either the project was buns or it really do need this. They really need to loosen their belt and get rid of some and trim some fat. But I would bet that the game ain't far enough along because 40 million ain't nothing to a lot of these companies. It's nothing to an Epic slash Tencent. It's nothing to a Microsoft to come in and push it over the finish line if that's all it needed. It could be that once it's over the finish line, it still bonds. But so I brought up Telltale because I played The Expanse. I didn't know there was a TV show and they're creating a whole universe around it. I just knew The Expanse from the video game, the Telltale game. So this Expanse game made by Owlcat, who makes I think Warhammer. I was excited ever since I saw Owlcat. So this Expanse game is looking good. But we've seen that before. You know, I played Dispatch on my ROG, right, on Steam. I'm happy for those who like those types of games to be able to play that on Xbox. I heard it's in Game Pass. I did not verify that, but Dispatch in Game Pass should be wow.
You know who
Wow.
I really been liking lately, like, and they have the same kind of narrative powerhouse that Telltale Games has, and that's Dark House Pictures. They're doing that new game, the Directive 8020. They
Is
also
that the same
did,
ones who makes
the
like the
House
Man of Medan and
Man of Medan and all those.
okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that studio. Like every time they release a game, I'm always look forward to it. And Directive looks like it's going to be another banger, at least for me, because I love horror
When does that
games.
drop?
And I think it's this year, right? Right, legal. Let me look it up. Hold on, I think it's
Hey, so you
later
play
this year.
Supermassive games too?
Yep.
I bought that game Quarry, but I didn't like it.
You didn't like Quarry? I love Quarry. I love where it's a werewolf story, which I mean, sorry to spoil it for some people, but yeah, it comes out in
Man,
May. Actually, it comes out in May.
well, I'm gonna check it
Um,
out, man. You, just before the end of the show, remind me or put it in the comment if you don't mind the name of that game because I'm into those games now. But Hades too. I don't know how many of you all enjoyed that in Game
I beat
Pass,
the first one. It's all good, man.
but I reckon this one here is gonna be in Game Pass as well.
Should
I
be.
know Legal beat that game.
hey,
It should
you
come
asked
back.
me the question, but
Legal's was a bad boy.
you didn't
Well,
ask legal the question. Like,
well,
how
look,
does
well,
how
look,
does
well, look, well, look. When you were over there taking a dump, I asked the entire panel, right? And even some people even some people in the chat rated the show, right? Had I known that I was all alone, I wouldn't have asked anybody anything.
no, not that
But
question. I mean the question of like how does Sony bounce back from where they are right now? Like that's what I wanted to hear that from legal.
man,
if he
look,
if he was Sony, if I hired you and if I was a Sony exec legal, and if I hired you to try to come up with something new, exciting to bring to the platform, like what would you do to bring PlayStation back to the forefront?
First thing I do is go rob a bank.
Become Big Bang.
yeah, he would just let him die. Huh?
Yeah, first I go rob a bank
Look, if
because
he say
they
something,
ain't got
I
no
ask
money,
him. I don't
bro.
know where he at. He not. I
They ain't
haven't
got
seen
no
him
money.
put anything in the chat. But Hades, did you play Hades? God, dog, man. You know what? I'm gonna talk to the chat, man. Y'all suck,
I told you I
I
beat
didn't know you.
Hades,
Are
man.
you asking me or are you asking
man.
legal?
It's me and you. Legal is not in this show, right?
Hades, yeah, I played the first
It
one. I still haven't beat it. I need to beat it. I keep getting distracted by other games. I'm about halfway through it, but it's one of those hook like roguelikes where it's got that once you want to try one more time to like get further and further. And I think I'm on like the
man.
fourth or fifth
I think they
boss.
call those roguelikes, man. That's what I think
All
they
I
Yep,
gotta
call them.
say
I
is
do.
Sister gonna beat that ass.
You do what?
Oh yeah,
You do. So look, Stalker 2 got a DLC, as if it needed it, right?
right.
Stalker is big as hell, right?
Hell
And
yeah.
it just hit PlayStation, but it's getting DLC. I'm interested, even though I've only got like 10 hours in Stalker. You know what I mean? But
Boo.
I played the first three Stalkers for about 15 years, so you know. I reckon I'm gonna spend about the same amount of time with this Stalker, and if they continue to build on it, yeah, it'll definitely take me 15 years. Did you play Stalker? Are you a Stalker fan?
Um, I did play like no, not the old ones. No, I only started. I just
Oh, you ain't
tried
played the old
two.
ones.
I tried two, and it's fun. Like I just like exactly with Hades, I kept getting pulled by other games. It wasn't enough to keep me interested to go through it and beat it because of how I knew how long the game is, and it's also hard. It's pretty hard.
Right, bro. I ain't mad
Um,
at you,
it reminds me of what's it, Metro, but like harder
bro.
than
It's the
Metro.
same
Like
people,
Yeah, it's
man.
the same
yeah, yeah,
type of
yeah.
game.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. So it's one of those type of games where I'm definitely going to go back to it some because I do want to beat it. I do want to play it again, but
Hey,
it's just it goes back to what I always say that there's just way too many games, and I always try to go to my backlog and play and try to finish games I bought, and I sometimes keep jumping from game to game, or then I don't go back to some games. I don't know. It's just it's hard for me because like I play a lot and like I get focused on one game because I'm really excited about this game, and then oh, but there's these two other games where I'm like a quarter of the way through or halfway through. Let me go back to this one. Let me try to finish this one. Oh no, this other new game's coming out next week. So it's a constant battle for me.
hey,
So
that's the market, bro. That's why so
yep.
many good games come out to die, bro. That goes back into what I was saying earlier, bro. There's no shortage of good games. There's a shortage of exposure and there's a shortage of time, right? But did you? Hey, what's that game? That game that was in Game Pass day one. The name of the studio is Mundfish, right?
Atomic Heart.
Yeah. Did you play that?
Only like the first level. So not a lot.
All
No.
right. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. They coming out with a part two, but like no, I just thought. I mean, when I think of when you brought up um Metro, it made me think of other people from that region creating those types of games, and like I like that game a lot. You know what I mean?
I
Even
did
just
beat
like
Metro. I like Metro.
oh, I haven't beaten this. What is the second one? It was Last Light
Uh,
Redux, and then
Metro Redux. Yeah, Last Light. Yeah.
yeah, that's the first one, right? Yeah, that's the one I
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I didn't. I got it as a
Last.
bundle. Oh, that's the game. 4A. They got bought by the big company. They got a bunch of studios. Um, Embracer. 4A.
Yeah,
What's
Embrace.
the name of it? What's the name of that game? Is that Metro? Exodus?
Yeah. Yeah, they've been. Yeah, Exodus. That's it.
That's the
Yeah,
big. That's the new one.
they've been a tarnish on the industry though. Embracer. All they've been doing lately is closing studios and and laying
Nah,
off
bro, they
people.
did what everybody else did during COVID. They got all that money and they started burning it. Not, I don't know who was making these decisions. Common sense would tell you that COVID would get cured and people would go back to work. They bought up a lot of studios and they got too many studios to do anything. Oh, and then they had, you know what? They bought the studios contingent upon Saudi money. And when the
Yep.
Saudis
Yep.
pull out, that
They
messed
pulled
them up.
out. Yep.
Yep. So that's what happened with them. But if you pay attention to them, they have a lot of faith in not THC. What's it
They
called?
have
THX. What's the name of that studio? The one that makes
well
the full Riders of the Apocalypse and
they have
um
Knights of the Old Republic coming, which I think they're
isn't
still
that
that's still
Aspire?
no. No, I'm
Oh, that's
pretty sure
somebody
it's
else making a
Embracer.
Star Wars game.
Yeah,
Well, that's
yeah.
but that's another. There's two Star Wars
And
games coming.
there's like two or three Star Wars games coming, and then there's that Pod Racer game, the Pod Racer game
Oh,
coming.
boo! I don't want to play
Well,
that. But no, look,
you don't like the pod racing? Just kidding.
I don't really want to race anymore, bro. When I was a kid, I played Mario Kart, F Zero, Rad Racer, Outrun, pole position on my uncle's Atari when and I play Forza. I play Forza, and the last one other than Forza
Don't
was
forget, we're getting
Assetto
Outcast 3, I think, this year too. Jedi
Out,
Outcast. You know,
Outcast. Yeah,
Calrissian. Yeah.
yeah. Look, there's a lot of them. But the one that Sony tried to do exclusive, and that one died too. You know what I mean? Like Sony can't buy a bucket, man. You know. But they got to do like Microsoft. But they tried to be like Microsoft and buy studios, so they don't have to depend on second party to fail them. But yeah, man, Embracer, because you brought up Embracer. I mean, I think it's THX, right? They're remaking a lot of those games, and I don't know if you've been sleeping like everybody else, but Kingdoms of Amalur, made by my man Kurt Schilling, drove him into bankruptcy. I'm a Red Sox fan. Um, they've been trying to push that. There's another game I bought that they remade. I think it's called like Reawaken or something like that. Um,
Yeah, Elmer
no,
Reawakening.
not that. I moved past that one. It's another one. It's an RPG. It's so Elder Scrolls, bro, and you can get it for $5. They remade it. Nobody bought it, so you can get it for the low. And then, man, what's that Uh, aliens killing humans or something like that? Whatever it's called. That game's fun. You know what I mean? They got some good stuff over there, but they don't have the money and sell it to somebody. But nobody. It's not a buyer's market because the money's down. People aren't spending. It's like
You mean a
these
seller's market,
corporations, huh?
or you mean a
It's
seller's
not.
market, right?
Is
Because
it
they're
a
not
seller's
able to
market? Let
sell.
me see. It's not a
It's
buyer's
not.
market. I said it's not a buyer's
No.
market because they don't have the expendable income. But yeah, it's not a seller's market because you would be selling for the low. Don't make me rethink myself. Then I get confused. I
Do
said
you
it right.
don't you see how fast too that a lot of these games are going on sale now? Like more so than they used to, and they sometimes they do even deeper discounts on even the
Bro,
first party games.
man,
Yeah.
ever since I've been buying digital games, they've all done that. They've always done that. But out of all of the AAA studios, Ubisoft was the quickest to it. But that's how you know when a game is flunking. Like it's been out for a month and they already got it 50% off. There's this game that I've been wanting to play. It's in my wish list. I have to look it up. But like, man, these games are going on sale because they're not moving units.
You
That's
do you
good for
think
us.
do you think Intergalactic's gonna move units?
Yeah,
Naughty Dogs.
yeah,
The only
yeah.
thing that'll move units is to cut the heads off IGN and whack uh, influencers.
IGN the hold the weight that they held when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? Like
They
they
were
used to
they were
be they
No.
doing
used to be
good back in
respectable.
the day. They were giving fair reviews, everything. Now they got a bunch of lazy. I don't want to say bad things. I'm just saying they picked the wrong crowd to review games.
Okay, but look at how much weight they hold. What's the name was probably gonna hit 5 million this week. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
they gave it middling reviews, right? And it
Crimson
still moved.
Desert's actually
Yeah, it's
sold
still.
6 million copies.
Hey man, I was right.
Yep.
I see. I was look. See, I hit the under. Right. Look, I was under, so I didn't go over. Right. So I'm still kind of right. I said, hey, okay. So it's basically doubling up. If it sold 3 million the first week and another 3 million, come on, come on, man. Their reviews meant nothing. Anyway, back to the show, man. See, like I like turning this nerd stuff, man. I don't. I'm an old ass man, so there's not a whole lot of. Look, my
Not
kids
even
call me
Greg
old.
Miller's review could stop Crimson Desert.
No, look, the reviews mean nothing when people see what they want to see. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like back in the day we didn't have money, man. Back in the day, man, money like people weren't spending money on video games like that. What's the? I think it was a EGM, the one that had the dude. He was sad and it was red when it was poor, and it was yellow and his hair was electrified when the game was excellent. You know what I mean? I used to buy that, man. I can't remember what it was called, but
Electronic Gaming Monthly. Yeah, that was a good one.
I think so. But we needed them. There was no
I
internet.
I do miss those days. Yeah, picking
Yeah,
up a magazine.
there was no internet. We
Yep.
needed them. We like now, you got people that you trust. Like a lot of people trust Angry Centaur Gamer, right? He don't like what I like. You know what I mean? A lot of people trust the European guy, but to me, he's a Sony shield, skill up. You know what I'm saying? Like none of their reviews mean nothing to me. You know what I mean? I'll talk to you. I'll talk to somebody in the chat. I'll talk to somebody that I know plays games on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like my boy, man, whatever his name is, Isekai, whatever his name is this month, he changes his name all the time. Yamato, whatever he calling himself. Like that dude plays games, a lot of games. He loves Metroidvanias. Ever since I got the Steam Deck, I was on those Metroidvanias. I go to him, hey man, what you think about this game? Because I know he at least touched it. But anyway, let's get back to the show, man. Because this is 1 o'clock. See, for
Did you
y'all,
ever finish? Did you finish Silk Song?
hell no.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to know why? You want to know why, bro? Not because anything was too hard, but I watched this dude fight the widow. I don't know, man. That seems like a headache. I'm lost. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I went back. I went back to Ori. Ori is a beautiful game that I slept on. But again, things get lost in the
That's
sauce, man. Every week
the.
it's like every week something hot is coming out. You know what I'm saying? If not
It's
every week, every
hard.
other week.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm gonna get back to the show for y'all go to sleep. Vampires, the Hunter, the Reckoning. I asked Legal in a text message what he thought about it. He didn't say nothing, but it looked all right. It looked all right. It looked double A-ish, which I don't have a problem with because I like that Evil West game. You know what I'm saying? They charged
Seemed
me
a lot like
$60
that.
for it. Huh?
Okay. It
No,
seemed a
like
lot like that, or just.
okay. Let me explain to you what I mean. Like when something is AAA, you expect, and they're charging AAA prices. You expect top-notch animations. You expect smooth gameplay. I do. I'm gonna say I expect great animation, smooth gameplay, and so I can tell that it was not a big budget game, but they still charged $60 at the time, full price. But that's what Hunter looks like. It looks like I won't play it outside of Game Pass. That's what it looks like. I don't know what you know about Serious Sam, but Serious Sam is a long-running underground franchise that continues to make sequels. I don't know how. I don't know where they get the money from. I don't know if like they're getting paid on Patreon or what. But
It's like, how is there four of these, or like, how is there another Shooter Sam? Like,
bro, they're on
there must
everything,
be
bro.
an
They're on
audience for it.
VR. No, there is
Yeah.
an audience. You know what I'm saying? I just don't know. I never knew that it was that big. But anyway, um, artificial detective or directive. It looked alright, man. I'm gonna tell you this. Oh, Bluey's Happy Snaps. That's day one. That's the day one. Nah, but
Uh,
I don't know anything about Wuthering Waves, but a lot of people in the chat were excited about it. I don't want to play it. It looked like a gotcha live service Japanese game. I don't want to play it. Vaunted. It's a tactical RPG, man. I mean, I did like what's the name of that game from In Exile? Um, Frostpunk.
Clockwork,
I
or
did like that.
or
I did.
oh, okay.
I did like that. Uh, is it Frostpunk or is it something else? Cause I mean, I got Frostpunk and I got the other game. I actually bought those games because I
Frag
wanted
Punk,
to.
is it
Not
Frag?
Fragpunk. Fragpunk was
Uh,
that. Fragpunk was that service
that's
game that came and went.
that sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was actually cool with the cards and stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool mechanic. Yeah.
I just don't have time for that kind of stuff. And plus, I was playing bots. That let me know nobody was playing it. I know what bots look like. But to me, man, I give the show a 7, man. I give the show a 7. It was all right. But developer directs, a third party, partner showcase, you know, it's gonna boil down to what games they can get there and the games that you haven't seen. But we've seen the Expanse. We've seen that. You know what I'm saying? So if you're really looking forward to what is it, similar to Heaven? What is it called? Stranger Than Heaven. Then the show is probably a 10. You know what I'm saying? Like if Sleeping Dogs 2 was at the show, it would be a 12 for me. You know. So it just depends on your taste for games. They had a 2D game. It looked good. I don't remember the name of it. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Yeah. I'll give it a watch in the morning when I wake
Yeah,
up.
it's only like 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? A bunch of indies. But the big thing is, oh, and I noticed how they were incentivizing Game Pass subscribers, special perks for Game Pass subscribers and things like that. So it's about time that they take care of that. But anyway,
But do you think lower tier price points is a good start for them to like give more options to get into Game Pass? Like maybe do that family plan that they were piloting or testing for a while.
all right. The problem with Game Pass is people were buying it just because it was a good deal. You know what I mean? And they didn't play it for the value. That's why they're complaining at $30. $30 is not too much for what you're getting Game Pass.
No.
$30 is still fair, right? Would I pay 40? No. But $30 is still fair for Game Pass. The problem with people is that they were getting it for $15 and $20, and they were never getting value at 30 at $20 and $15, or even a Dorito can code. They weren't getting the value out of that because they weren't playing the game. They were just buying it because it was a good deal. So if you want people actually playing games, they're gonna pay for it, right? If you pay for it, you're gonna play the games. But if you just want subscribers, like Netflix did, you lower the price. You create commercial tiers. You create people to just get involved. That can't hurt. You know what I mean? But the value has to be commensurate too, and they can't alienate people who are spending more money. You know what I mean? They got to make them feel because like they're getting their money's worth. So I think it's a good idea, but I don't know how much it will impact people actually playing more games. You know what I mean? Because these people weren't playing games when it was cheap. They were just subscribing to a good deal. And so that's what they would end up doing again. But if I just want my numbers up, sure. Create a $10 commercial tier.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, because I mean at that point you're getting your money off ads. They're gonna get annoyed. They're either gonna subscribe to no commercials, or they're gonna just sit there and watch commercials, and you're gonna eat off the commercial money. But that was your idea, so I know you know it's a good idea. Legal said it's after 1 o'clock. Like I don't know what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't already mention it was 0100. But anyway, you got anything else? You got anything you want to say before we close it out?
I my whole thing is yeah, like you touched on and we've touched on in the past, like I think it's good if Microsoft gets a head start on Sony in this next generation, like announce Helix this year, bring it out sooner, because if they wait, then they lose that kind of headway, right? Like that kind of I don't want to say advantage, but that head start that they could have by doing it this year, right? Like I don't want to see it 2028, right? Even if they don't have the games for it yet, they still have very exciting features and hardware with it, like that you could do a lot with it, not just play games, but it's a lot of versatility to it, like they need to bring the excitement to it, like show what it can do, like show the capabilities of it, show the benefits of using like video games with quick resume, like show all the different benefits of subscribing to Game Pass, not just the games, right? Like the reward system, like really emphasize like what kind of games you're getting with the service, right? Like you're getting variety, right? You're getting all these different types of games. You're getting the day and date first party games, you're getting the indie games, you're getting the puzzle, the multiplayer games, like the platformers, the racers, you're getting this many games a year, whatever else they can do to try to like hype it up, right? Like show like this is what it's going to be able to do. Like this is what we could do that the others can't do. This is the price point. We're we're going to give you multiple options to get this device at different price points for different partners, like not just us, but you could get it through Asus or Alienware, and just really like kind of try to pull the mind share your way to where people are paying more attention to you, and you're offering something that the competition doesn't have, at least all in, like everything from what it offers from the hardware up to the services, and kind of capitalize on that, and also bring new experiences to the table, like new innovations, like some sort of new technology that they could, really make Helix kind of stand out from the crowd, and emphasize, like how much you're getting from the hardware, as opposed if you were to buy a PC or the equivalent, the value there, like you're getting your money's worth in different ways, and that's why I think it was a good start for, like you mentioned, where Asha, is building that new marketing team, is they really need to market the heck out of this new device, market the heck out of Game Pass, market the heck out of the Series X, just what it can offer right now, like lower the price, like go like reverse your decisions that you made last year, offer lower tiers for Game Pass, lower the prices on the consoles back down, like discount them, get ready for Helix, offer budget value options or bundles, I know it'll say bundles, but I don't know, just like, come up with all the ways possible to try to make yourself, the family friendly, budget friendly device with the family friendly, budget friendly service. Kind of just, make them like the something enticing to like bring you in. That's basically what I'm trying to say is
we gotta make money, man. We gave you
you
suckers.
gotta pull them in.
Look,
Yeah, you gotta, even if
look, man. We
it's
gave, hey, Mr. Gamer, right? We gave y'all suckers years. And
yeah.
we let y'all flip EA Play cards into Game Pass for
Hmm.
3 years. We let y'all flip Xbox Live to Game Pass.
But
Right?
they weren't showing the consumers like all those things, though. That's the thing, is they
Well,
weren't giving them enough
I think
spotlight.
that was by design, bro. I don't think they wanted everybody subscribed to Game Pass for 3 years for $60, especially now. Right now they're actually, I mean, I don't know if people were paying attention. The dude said that there's going to be like 170 day one games in Game Pass this year, something like that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You don't get that for freaking $10. You know what I'm saying? Like the value is there. I'm reading through the chat now. Uh, The Stranger Than Heaven is going to be in Game Pass. Dispatch is not. Uh, Hades 2 is. Like that's just now. What's coming later? You know what I'm saying? Crimson Desert, day one play anywhere. You know what I mean? They're making moves, they're providing a value. You, not you, but if you can't find a value, then that's a you problem, right? $360, yes, that's a lot. Okay. It's not a lot, but you're paying it by the month, right? And the value is there. So they can't give it away. They listen, there's one thing about the Japanese that I noticed is they don't discount their games. The majority of them do not discount their games past 50%. No matter, especially from, um, they don't discount the game because you have to look. Perceived value is real. If I make it cheap, that makes it cheap, right? It's going to become cheap in your mind. So if I give Game Pass away, then what is like? There's no worth in anything that costs you nothing or next to nothing, right? Pay for it. That way you'll use it. The family plan, look, man, we're in the business of making money. I get it. I would love to have a family plan. Well, now we're down to 4 Xboxes. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what those girls did to the Xbox. I'm not buying another one. Um, I would love to have a family plan, but instead I pay for 2 subscriptions because even those 2 subscriptions would supply the four units, right? So the family plan has to be something. I'm with it, but I understand why they're not really trying to do it. You know what I mean? But my biggest thing, going back to what I said earlier, I agree with everything you said, except for giving it to them for free. Um, they gotta highlight those things, like all these things that you said that they have. They need to make sure that the common consumer understands what they bring to the table that the competition doesn't.
Yep.
And they're not doing that well enough, not to my liking. Right? If I was a guy that didn't know anything and I just wanted to start gaming, I'm gonna go buy a PlayStation. That's just what it is. Because guess what? The people selling the crap have PlayStations. They're not directing them to Xbox. They can know the Xboxes are better. I've watched them do it. I've been in Best Buy and watched salespeople direct people to a PlayStation, even though it's not the better option. You know what I mean? These dudes, the little dude cared nothing about anything PlayStation had to offer. He just knew a PlayStation. His mom wanted to get him an Xbox. I just watched it. I didn't say nothing this time. I just watched it go down. You know what I mean? But they have to make sure that they highlight these things. They have to make sure that this is out in the open, that that people are seeing it. People know that Xbox offers multiple storefronts, that you have access to a bigger library of games, access to more sales. People need to know this. Hell, if you like a PlayStation controller, you can bring that over too. You know what I mean? PlayStation will bring an app. They're not leaving PC. They're gonna be on PC one way or the other. They cannot afford to not be on PC. So they can't really promote that, but let them know they can play whatever controller that they want. Let them know that all the games, their favorite games. Let them know like, put in a little commercial, do a little montage. While all the most played games they're on Xbox too. Because I heard so many people on PlayStation talking about GTA, like GTA is exclusive. Call of Duty. Like I'm talking to this one dude. I was like, yeah, I ain't played Call of Duty until I didn't have to pay for it. What do you mean you didn't have to pay for it? So I got Game Pass on Xbox, so I don't have to pay for it. Well, what's that? What's the service, man? You know what I'm saying? Y'all got a service over there too, man. Just don't have Call of Duty. But they got to make sure people know about it. But anyway, man, shout out to everybody who hung up with us to what is this 0124. You know what I mean? A lot of people
Sir.
in there. Numbers were bouncing around. I think it was 25 last time I checked. All hardcore gamers. I consider the people that sit around at 1 o'clock in the morning listening to people talk about video games. Y'all are the hardcore. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all for loving gaming, loving to see people engage in gaming conversation. And until next time, man, I'm by myself. I ain't even try to pass the baton. But peace out, y'all.